Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for Misfits Racing League action. We're back in what I would say Unicorn is an official capacity as we're here in F1 2021 for, well, your home Grand Prix. We're here in Silverstone. How you doing?
Yeah, absolutely, Shiv. Looking forward to this. Like you say, a little bit more of a regularly scheduled production here. Obviously, last night, that huge 5-lapper tournament, all 21 tracks. It was a long time. It was a lot of fun, but this one, a little bit more to what we're used to. An endurance race, 100% around Silverstone, like you said, my home Grand Prix. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, of course. Silverstone, a very iconic Formula One circuit. If you haven't heard about Silverstone or haven't watched a race here, it's 18 turns of absolute high speed intensity, 2 DRS zones, of course, and well, a lot of fun to watch, in all honesty. And we have a full grid of racers here that are going to be putting their absolute limits to the test for an endurance race of full capacity. And we're going to have some damage, strict corner cutting, and the whole endurance series experience. I don't know. Is this an endurance series compared to yesterday? I don't know. We're about to find out and see how these drivers can do here. It's a lot of fun. We're just about ready to go racing here, of course, in Silverstone, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Of course, if you're new to the Misfits Racing League, or if you're new to F1 2021 and you're here on PC and you happen to be looking for a league, exclamation apply in the chat. We have a form there you can fill out. You can join us in some racing, and we have a massive amount of tiers and divisions available to race in as well. But I'm very excited. We saw 21 different circuits in the F1 2021 release yesterday. Silverstone was actually one of them. We saw some very, very wild racing through here, and I imagine it's going to be more of the same today, of course. And I do believe we're going to have a pretty clear campaign here. I think the weather forecast over in your country and your side of things there, George, is looking pretty good for tomorrow's race. So we usually try to mimic the weather in reality.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you from where I'm sitting, I'm absolutely boiling. So it's definitely clear weather. We're just about getting everyone readied up in the lobby. But yeah, 20 drivers, Jeff, I don't know. You just need to click spectate there and then we're all good to go. But yeah, we've got, a lot of hot weather here. It should be a dry campaign all the way throughout, all 52 laps, obviously preceded by a short qualifying. Something we didn't really get to see yesterday. We did one lap of qualifying to determine the first grid. Then it was random throughout from there because things didn't work out quite how we wanted it to. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. 18 minutes qualifying followed by 52 laps of Silverstone, a very iconic circuit. And we'll see how everyone fares in our first like you say, official race of the new release.
Yeah, this is where things and points come into question. It's our 10th round of the Endurance Series. Of course, the Endurance Series is something that we hold every Formula One weekend, following, of course, the Formula One World Championship. This weekend being a pretty big deal. The British Grand Prix. We had the sprint qualifying today, the sprint race qualifying today, not sprint qualifying, sprint race qualifying today, I think I should say. Setting the bar and the grid for tomorrow's race, and now we're going to have our own little short qualifying of 18 minutes to get ourselves dialed in for our own full-blown campaign around Silverstone. And what an iconic circuit. I love this track. It is very, very fast, and when you nail Beckett's Chapel, it feels amazing. So we'll see how these drivers are able to get up to their own terms with it. Just waiting on Psycho and Yasko at the minute to load themselves into the equation. But after 21 different circuits, I'm actually quite excited to get down into the depths of a circuit now, where we get to go for a little bit more than 5 laps.
Yeah, just over 10 times that amount, 52, and it's like you say, it's all one track, and that gives everyone. We were saying yesterday how you can't really get into a rhythm around a track when you're only doing it for 5 laps. As soon as you get into it, you're moving on to the next one here. Plenty of time to get adjusted to it. Obviously, everyone who signed up as well, they'll have been practicing this one. Whereas before, it was just sort of above the board. You couldn't practice everything at the same time. Obviously, even amount, you wouldn't be able to master anything. Here, though, everyone knew what they were coming into. Silverstone, plenty of time to practice. You've got 18 minutes of qualifying to re-warm yourself up. And then, of course, 52 laps to get yourself acquainted, get yourself into that groove. And I think that will be very, very useful for the 20 drivers that we have on the grid this evening. And this also, The first time we're seeing all the new liveries in our official capacity. Obviously, we saw them here, there, and everywhere yesterday, but we weren't really focusing on too many specifics. Obviously, we saw the Alpine of Jesper, who won that. He's in the Mercedes today. So, he won, of course, over the whole course of the 21 tracks. We'll see whether he can sustain it over 52 laps at one track. But there we are. First out onto the track is the Ferrari of Jags. Someone we've seen prior. And we'll just go through who we've got on the grid this evening. We've got Domi at the top there, coming through and hosting the lobby as well after the issues we had yesterday with the spectator hosts. So fingers crossed that sorts out. So a big shout out to Domi there at the top of the time tab. We've got Codders in the AlphaTauri, Jags and Jasko over at Ferrari. Max Verstappen, formerly known as Jar Santiago, in the Aston Martin. He was around yesterday. Maxime B, the Canadian, in the Alfa Romeo. Mark is on the grid ahead of Psycho Jesper, I mentioned won last night's event. Remco van Putten, the Dutchman. I don't think we saw him yesterday, but, well, he was pretty exciting to watch last game. I imagine nothing's really going to change there for him in this release. Vexit, Babatunde, Blind, Jones, Azir, Yaya, Freeware, Ben, Wisp, and Noel there rounding out tonight's grid. And I think Yaxiel just getting ready for the first flying lap of the session in the Ferrari. I do believe it's Charles Leclerc's car that he's got there, and we're on board. He starts his first flying lap, coming down the Hamilton straight into the first corner, obviously. Abby, and then spinning straight out. That is not how you want to start your evening.
No.
And he's very lucky. That's not a retirement. He slammed that wall pretty hard there, Striff.
Yeah, most definitely. And something else we're experiencing right now is another bit of an issue that we experienced yesterday throughout a couple of races. I don't know if you're getting it on your end as well, George, but we have a bit of a sound issue where we're only picking up, I think, certain elements of the audio from the cars, the turbo line, and the exhaust and things like this, where we're not necessarily getting the entire engine sound here. So unfortunately, that is something we'll have to hopefully see resolved, I think, coming into the race. Otherwise, we'll have to maybe go from there. I might have to leave and rejoin. Fortunately, I am not the host, but we're going to just see if it might, well, fix itself. We might just try and leave and rejoin in a moment here to see if it sorts itself out. If, not sure. Do you have that issue on your end, Unicorn?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty systemic issue as Babatunde goes off and Codis is off as well. I don't know if there was contact between the two of them, but they're both still in the session, I think. Is Codis retired? No, he's not. He's just waiting for Babatunde to move there. Well, yeah, bit of a problem for a pair of them coming to Maggots and Beckett's.
They have both. I don't know if they've both been awarded a penalty there. I did see one penalty come up, but we're already getting ourselves into some drama here in this early stage of the session. It is very unfortunate to see. Potter's getting himself back slowly here. Azir, meanwhile, he's on the move, coming down the hangar straight.
Yeah, just to confirm, just Codder's there picking up a penalty for that collision, so unfortunate for the Irishman, but we'll see how he tackles that one. There's a Ferrari off again there in the same place we saw Jags off. It is Jasko, though, in the other Ferrari, so neither of the Scuderia having fun through that opening sector.
Azir, excuse me, he came across the line. Ben the Bear just began a flyer, narrowly avoiding him.
Well, Freeware's crushed out.
Oh, no. Freeware not going to be happy with that.
Jesper's off the... Jesper? He's missing his entire front wing strip.
Well, things getting off to a very shaky start here in the qualifying of this 100% distance campaign. And I have to say, well, some of these drivers potentially more prepared than others. Everybody pushing the limits. Vexit, excuse me, a 125.539 from the Haas this evening is now on provisional pole ahead of Domi and Azir. Mark, his teammate, of course, is 5th position as Wisp, excuse me, a 127.279 on the mediums for him. Maxim B, the Canadian, in the Alfa Romeo. He crosses 3rd quickest here in the session so far. Yellow flag coming up. It appears there's still some struggling through. Where's this? I think it's one of the Red Bulls. Trying to get used to switching on to the other vehicles here. It might have actually been Psycho through Cops, excuse me, in the Williams.
yeah, those colors being so similar, definitely making it a bit tricky between the Williams and the Red Bull. The Alpine, it's sort of noticeably lighter than the other two, but the Williams and the Red Bull, very, very similar at a quick glance. But yeah, I do believe it was Psycho, like you said there, Shift. We've got a few times they're coming through. 125.5 right now, Vexit, as you mentioned, the fastest time so far. And he's got a bit of competition there in Domi, but then past that, about a second quicker than anyone else who set a lap right now. So a few drivers needing to get laps in at the moment. The McLaren of Yaya here. Let's see what he can do as he comes down into the Vale chicane. Yet to set a lap time, low on fuel though. We'll see what he's got in store for us. He's going to come across. It's a 125.7, so there he goes into third place. And again, just putting a little bit more pressure. 1/10 off Domi, 2/10 off pole at the moment.
Very nice times coming in here from some of these drivers. The separation between the top three is quite tight. A lot of the drivers, I think, on these first runs we've seen struggling in all reality. And we have a great, I mean, if we look at the 2020 results for a lot of the drivers on this grid, we've got a pretty serious lineup here this evening for Silverstone. But, of course, with the new handling model, with the new game release, this being the first 100% distance race, I think a lot of these drivers are going to be getting through some learning processes. That's how I'm going to word it tonight. Some learning processes.
Absolutely. I think the benefit here as well is that when you've got an endurance race so early on in the game cycle, you know, first of all, you've got to remember that it is an endurance race, and getting to the end is, you know, almost it is the most important thing. Irregardless of where you are at the start of the race, getting to the end really is, you know, a prominent feature. And obviously there's that famous saying, to finish first you have to finish, and that's very true in these endurance races. But we've already seen it here, like you said, a shaky start. We've got, you know, a couple of drivers coming together with Corders and Babatunde earlier. Freeware's crashed out of the center. We've seen plenty of front wings off of cars and cars in the gravel, in the walls. So again, you just need to find that rhythm. It may not be the fastest race, but you've got no, you know, brilliant setups, because the game is, you know, 1 day old for some people, you know, a week old for some others almost. But it is a very early stage of the race. You cannot expect, you know, brilliant lap times straight out of the gates. And I think, you know, you put 52 laps in at Silverstone, that's always going to be helpful going into, you know, when league racing gets around to here. You've already got that experience under your belt, and there are some tricky corners around here.
Yeah, definitely some tricky corners, and it trains consistency without a doubt. Yags now, he's coming through out of club. We'll see what he's able to put onto the board here. It's been a good run so far, and he goes third quickest. The 25.699 for him in the Ferrari. And he will join the second row for the time being. We move on with Cotters as he comes through into, of course, Cops. And we've got more times coming across the board there. Who was that just crossed? Excuse me. Max Yarstappen says hello with a 25.099. I do believe that's Yar Santiago, as we know him previously. Having a little bit of fun there. Many times now coming onto this board, the separation is starting to narrow itself out at the front end. First to 8th position, 1.2 is the margin.
Yeah, just getting a couple of re-invites sent out, but yeah, Remco Van Putten now P2. It's starting to get a little bit quicker here. You know, that lap from Max Verstappen is very, very dangerous for the other drivers. You know, it's half a second quicker than what we were seeing as the pole time, but we've still got 8 minutes left. We know from the previous game that the last 5 minutes, that's where the sweet spot used to be. I imagine that is pretty much the same, but we haven't seen a traditional qualifying, at least a short qualifying, traditional in the sense that that's what we use and what most other, you know, leagues use as well, given that it's shorter time format. But we haven't really seen that take advantage, so maybe it's a bit later. Maybe the track evolution continues into maybe the final 3 minutes. All of this, the drivers, depending on how much practice they've been able to put in, depending on the circumstances of that practice, won't really have a lot of information about. So this is a learning experience for them. It's a learning experience for us, and we'll see what they've got.
Two drivers yet to set times here. Cotter's had issues on his last run here. I think he may be on an in-lap. Could very well be pushing as well, but Ben the Bear now, he is on an invalidated run, about to begin another flyer in the Mercedes. He's on medium compound tires.
And obviously strategy always takes hold in these endurance races. That's what we see all the time when it is, you know, such a long race. You can have multiple pit stops, the 2-stop. I know that's being talked about for tomorrow's race with the blistering we saw earlier on in the sprint. But as a yellow flag pops up for one of the Alfa Romeos here, it's Maxime B facing the track. He's not on it though, and he's just waiting for Azir there to go past in the McLaren. He's actually using the old pit exit, I believe that is, there to get himself reacquainted with the track.
There's been a retirement behind him. Excuse me, that is Mark. Off circuit in the Haas. He's had a terminal retirement coming out of Cops Unicorn, and that's very, very unfortunate for him. As we've got 6.5 minutes remaining in the session. Ben the Bear pushing through out of Chapel now, down into Hangar Straight. And he'll be moving through Stowe in just a moment's time.
Yeah, again, a couple of retirements in qualifying. You don't like to see that. And again, it's through Cops. It's a tricky corner. You know, everyone's pushing for the fastest time right now. Because, you know, and that means you're pushing the car to its absolute limits. That's where you're going to find a slip. But we see it on lap 1. When the fuel load gets added, the car feels completely different to what it feels like now on a flying lap. And that can catch people off guard in the first lap. So Cops is one we're going to have to keep an eye on. We always do. But when it's so early on in the game's life cycle, as I say that, who is that? It's the McLaren of Yaya, and he's doing exactly what Maxime being. He's just facing the other way.
Yeah, very unfortunate seeing a lot of issues coming out of Cops, and we're on low fuel right now. I imagine a lot of these drivers might run into some issues. How many of these racers have realistically gone through some race simulations with heavy fuel load? Yeah, again, another issue here. I just watched his telemetry drop into neutral. Not entirely sure what's happened here. Could just be avoiding things, but I'll tell you, heavy fuel, 100% distance. If you're coming through Cops, you need to be careful, because if you're flying through there on light fuel, I'm gonna be very, very interested to see what happens on heavy fuel load.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always been a difficult corner, but again, it's just about getting to the end of these endurance races. And well, at any point in this race, you have a lapse of concentration on one of those 52 laps, it's going to cost you through Cops. And well, we're already seeing that here in qualifying. The evidence is going to be, you know, even more so when we get into that race. But you know, still plenty of time left in this session, although the session countdown timer does get covered every time a sector yellow flag comes up. And well, it appeared for a brief moment, showing us just under 4.5 minutes left. But the calm before the storm, as it were. We'll get ready for everyone to come up from one last run in a moment.
Babatunde on a run now. He's coming through Sector 1. We had, of course, a variety of different drivers come through to set runs coming into the pit lane now.
Yeah, he's going to be one of the first drivers to set what will be, I do believe, his last flying lap of the session in the Ferrari. He was the first out of the pits. It didn't start well for him, but that's a bit better. 125.5, 1.5 tenths found, so puts him 5th right now. Plenty of cars behind him looking to improve in a few moments, but see what that does for him. Babatunde in the Alpine, he's finding a bit of improvement. He hasn't had the best start to qualifying. Not necessarily his fault, the collision with Cotters. Yeah, we didn't really see it, so I don't think we can pass judgment on that, and the in-game stewards have given Cotters the penalty. But we've seen a bit of inconsistency there. A little bit of grass kicked up as he comes out of Chapel onto the Hangar Straight. Flying down, DRS enabled towards Stowe, of course. But so far, the lap for the Alpine. Whining, as it were, rather than the roar of the engine you'd like to hear around Silverstone, but down into the Vale chicane. Well, one of the new liveried cars in the 2021 game, and across the line, it is an improvement of 3.5 tenths for Babatunde on the nose. It just sticks him in that top 10.
Gasco now, he's on a flyer. He's coming through out of Brooklands in Luffield. He's going to push himself through Sector 2 as best he can now. And of course, this is where we have seen a lot of issue coming through Cops. We'll see what he does here. Taking a little bit of that inside grass, I think, on the right hand. He's just trying to keep that car as tamed as he can right now through this section, this very fast-flowing Sector 2, Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel. DRS on the rear wing now, a yellow, or not yellow, excuse me, purple Sector 2 as we come down Hanger into Stowe. Getting things rotated just after this 50-meter braking board here. Jones pulled off to the inside there in the Aston Martin, and now we come through the Vale chicane. Yasko keeping things valid. It's a 43.985 he's looking to improve on. What's he get here? It's good for 12th. It's a 26.163 in the Ferrari.
It's one thing, Striff, I didn't even consider. I wonder whether the purple middle sector glitch is gone and whether the purple sectors actually mean something in this game. Well, Remco Van Puten's not going to find out as he spins across the sector split line. And that was on for a pretty decent lap for the Dutchman, but, well, it's not to be for him. And, well, does he go for another lap on these tires? Does he have the fuel for it? I don't know whether he's got the time. I imagine he does.
Domi's just gone for a little bit of a 180 spin coming through Cops as well. And he's just sitting right now, letting some cars come through here.
So if I'm on board with a man who you can always rely on in qualifying, Ben the Bear. I do believe he is flying. He's opened DRS. He's flying at nearly 200 miles an hour down into Brooklands. We can't really see the ERS deploy anymore. It's just there in the bottom. Although I do believe those lines probably indicate something. But it doesn't just go green like it used to. It's very, very obvious in the engine modes, etc. But here he comes through Cops, and he's currently second fastest, so 125.324. 3/10 slower than Max Verstappen, and he is on a flyer as well in that Aston Martin. A little bit further back, he's just come out of Luffield, I do believe. Ben definitely utilizes some of that battery. It is draining as he comes down the Hanger straight. There's Jones on the inside of Stowe, keeping out of the way of the Thai driver as he comes down into the Vale chicane. He's going to complete the lap. And so far, so good. One more corner to go, Club. Through he comes. And across the line, and it's pole position for the time being. A 124.9. The first driver to go sub 125. Can Max Verstappen make it too? I think he's probably the only person, maybe yes, but well, no, he can't. He's invalidated.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate for the Aston Martin here. There's going to be no improvement for him. That red track map, he was waiting for another car to come through the chicane, but that driver ended up coming through into the pit lane. I do believe it was Psycho. And now we have a variety of other drivers trying to come through and set fast times here as the qualifying has officially come down to a close. The checkered flag is being waved as these drivers finish out their runs. Wisp is finished. Cotters is finished as well.
I think that time from Ben will stand. Jesper invalidated through Maggots and Beckett's. Yeah. Well, I was going to say he was down this time, but he's also invalidated now in the McLaren too. So I think that just about wraps everything up. I don't know if there's anyone on one last dash. I don't know whether Noel is flying on a second run on these tires. It looks like he is in the Williams, coming through the Vale chicane for one last time here in qualifying, although he's going to drop that lap. No way, this is going to be a flyer. Yeah. So that is qualifying, and, well, Ben the Bear on pole.
Domi with a bit of an improvement there. He jumped Remco at the end, getting himself ahead of the Dutchman, and now I have a feeling we're going to see a bit of a duel between the Hungarian and Remco. We have quite the separation here in this grid. If you look from first down to 11th, it's 1.1, and DRS can definitely play a role here. Qualifying doesn't necessarily represent how these drivers are going to be able to go through the race now. But of course, that opening lap here in Silverstone, we've seen it before, George. It can be quite tricky, especially through that fast-flowing first turn. So we'll have to see how everybody navigates it. We're going to have a formation lap here in just a moment, as well as a quick look at the official classification. But ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the official qualifying of the session ahead of our British Grand Prix for this 100% endurance race. My name's Strifium. Joining me is Mr. Unicorn, and It is the Thai driver. It is Mr. Ben the Bear. On pole position, it was a 124.901 in the Mercedes for him. Joined on the front row by Max Verstappen in the Aston Martin, just about 2/10 off of the pole sitter. And Vexit, home Grand Prix for him. He rounds out the top 3 in the Haas, 25-1.
Yeah, I think Vexit, he's, one of the few drivers here that it is his home race. Mark as well, but obviously he right now is well and truly down in 19th. So a podium for him seems off the cards, but like you said, anything in these endurance races can happen. Lap 1, obviously, is always a little bit chaotic. Everyone's side by side. We even saw it today earlier on in real life. George Russell's signs coming together, but here, hopefully the drivers can keep it clean. We don't have any early retirements. We've already mentioned it, but cops is so difficult to get right, and they've all just got used to it in the low fuel. We already saw a few spins early on in qualifying. They seem to iron out those bumps early on, but now they're back to heavy fuel modes, and that, well, we've seen it before. Striff has always caught drivers out in the past, and I imagine tonight will be no different, especially with the new handling model. There's a lot to play for, and the first win in an official race that's longer than 5 laps is on the table, but I'm not surprised that we see Ben the Bear on pole, Striff.
No, he's a very quick driver. He showed us some very good racing yesterday as well in our tournament, and he's been around through multiple releases in the community, and everyone knows him to be a very nice guy. He's always helping out in the voice chats with people and getting everyone up to speed. It's very nice to see. Of course, we're gonna have formation lap here. Hopefully we get some engine sounds. I think we have engines, ladies and gentlemen. We have the firing of those nice engines finally, and well, that's gonna be a good thing for the 100% distance race. We didn't want to just have turbos, did we?
Yeah, I don't know if it's car dependent, but like you said, I think we've got most of it. I think the Alpine didn't have one. It's now found an engine, it would seem, for me. But yeah, I think we've got engine sounds back, hopefully. But yeah,
things a little bit
good
livelier.
to have those back. And makes it a little bit more pleasant to listen to as well. I think listening to 52 laps of that high-pitched whine, whatever it may be, turbo gearbox, I don't know, but it is a little bit tough on the eardrums. But it's Ben the Bear on pole ahead of the Aston Martin of Max Verstappen there. Vexit ahead of Domi. Remco Van Putten in 5th after spinning on his last flying lap. We'll see whether there's a little bit more pace in that Alpine. Jags in 6th. Jesper, who won yesterday's 21 races, the 5-lap tournament. Well, we'll see whether he can replicate his success there. He starts 7th in the Mercedes. Yaya in the McLaren starts 8th ahead of Jones in the other Aston Martin. Babatunde rounds out the top 10 before we get to the medium runners of Psycho, Yasko, Maxime B, Wisp, Noel, Azir. Then Blind in 17th starts on the soft compound tyres, looking to try and make a few early positions. Mark in 18th crashed out of qualifying, as did Freeware. Both of them start on the mediums. And then Cotters with that 5-place grid penalty getting put to the rear of the grid. He also starts on softs. The in-game graphic telling us it is a one-stop. The tyre wear last game was pretty light around here, and a one-stop should very much be possible here, Striff, at Silverstone. It's just a case of what they go for, what the setups are allowing. Obviously, they're not going to be the best for tyres at this stage of the game.
No, definitely not. And everyone's still coming up to terms with the circuits, let alone the setups, the handling model. This is going to be a real shakedown for a lot of these racers. I'm extremely excited for lights out here around Silverstone. Ben the Bear, Max on the front row. We've got Vexit, Domi right behind them. It's just a solid lineup all the way start to finish here. I mean, 1st to 20th, of course, front to back. And, of course, Cotter's now at the back of this grid. We're just about ready to go racing here. And, of course, Unicorn, for your home Grand Prix, take us away.
Well, I appreciate the honest, Jeff. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here on in Silverstone, and it's lights out and away we go. Ben gets a good launch. He is ahead of Max Verstappen. The timing tower having a little bit of a moment. Vexit looking for the inside of the Aston Martin. There's been a collision behind. Mark is having a problem. Yagziel's down 13 places. As for the opening few drivers, the Haas of Vexit is looking for the Aston Martin. Max Verstappen doesn't quite get the traction he needs, though, and drops back behind him. Remco Van Putten, he has got past Domi, it would seem, and still in Well, actually up into fourth now, looking for third. The Titan still playing a few tricks. He's now looking for Vexit here on the inside as they come through Luffield out into Woodcote. He is through the Alpine, up 2 places from where he started this race. I'm not quite sure what happened at the start with the Ferrari of Jags, but he drops down to last place. Cottas is up to Freeware. Well, the German already starting to rectify that poor qualifying as we come through Cops. A few people running wide early on.
Vexit, Remco. Oh, I'm so sorry to interrupt you here. Vexit, Remco, wheel to wheel as we come through Maggots and Beckett's, and man, is it tight. Domi's right on the rear of this. There's been an issue. Yeah, as you mentioned previously, now he's dropping through this grid like a stone. We're trying to find his car to see what's happened. He does not appear to have any front end damage. There has been a yellow flag sparked up through that section of circuit as Babatunde has had a major issue. More position exchanges coming as Vexit and Domi are fighting. Maxim has Yasko on his inside as we come through the Vale chicane. Yasko in the Ferrari now outside of club. He's looking for position. What's happened now? The timing tower, is it playing tricks or has Ben the Bear had an issue?
Ben is still in lead of things. Timing tower still playing a few tricks. It was a beautiful dive from Vexit on Domi into the Vale chicane. Going back to Babatunde. A lot of people decided to risk it, shift side by side through Maggots and Beckett's. Didn't work out for Babatunde there as he drops. Now we've got Maxime B fighting for position, and it's side by side. A bit of a slide from both him and Yasko. Miraculously, they both save it, but this is going to give Noel a little bit of a look here in that Williams. Oh, there he goes into the grass.
Oh,
he
my!
into the wall and spins.
He just jumped a curb or something. There was some kind of uneven ground there. We saw that car come up off the ground and then drop back. That wing is gone.
He can't control that car in the off track either. That Aramco branding there, obviously a very slidey surface. He has got no traction. He's like he's on ice. And he's been disqualified from the session.
I don't know what has gone on here in this, but I do know that we have, well, our engines have gone out. We've lost engines on most cars. I think we've got it on Ben the Bear, and that's about it. Domi right now, engines or no engines. He's got one in that car. He's looking on the inside of Stowe as we come through now. Jesper, does he have a defense to this? The Mercedes driver, of course, we saw some amazing racing from him yesterday in the tournament. Now we've got Domi and him having a duel. Domi holding 5th position very nicely. He's dropped off of Vexit a little bit here. He needs to catch back up. The timing tower really struggling on lap 3 right now.
Absolutely. Very, very interesting opening of the race. The Aston Martin Jones just tapped Jesper there. Almost lost his own car. Didn't really affect the Mercedes ahead of him. And now he's got Psycho having a little look at him, trying to find a way through. Not quite making that work. But DRS for the pair of them. We'll see whether that enables them to get anything done down the Wellington straight. Psycho's having a little look up the inside. Doesn't find anything. No, the timing tower saying otherwise. Wisp and Freeware, they actually are exchanging. The German gets past the Swede. He is up 10 places. The race going much better for him. Didn't have the best of luck yesterday. Didn't have the best of luck all season in the last release of the game. Hopefully for him, this season can be a bit of a turntable and he can get himself back into the form that we used to see from him.
Yeah, the timing tower right now, I do not think giving us the appropriate representation, even remotely, of where this grid is. Of course, we're trying to follow along with as much action as we can to give you all the battles. Right now, Azir on the rear of Wisp. He's hunting down the Alpha Tauri. Of course, Freeware, the Alfa Romeo in front. Things hopefully going to update as we see Ben the Bear now. He's the only driver with an engine as it stands. He's going to cross the line into the 4th lap. A 29.637 for him. Does the timing tower update on the rear of him? Hopefully it does.
Oh, it's like a spun in out of the final corner. He is in the pit wall. He won't be too thrilled about that in the Williams. I'm looking for damage on that. We are running reduced given the fact that it is a long race and it is early days. And
Blind has had a huge issue here. Blind has just dropped through this field, and I think he's been
a lap down.
Yeah, he's really struggling here.
Remco spun as well.
Oh my, the Dutchman not going to be happy even remotely. Where did he spin? Just here on the Wellington straight.
I think he just caught the curb coming out of Aintree onto the Wellington straight, and then, you know, obviously high speed, just trying to accelerate coming out of the loop, and that's just cost him on the exit curve. And we saw that plenty of times. Mikkel was mentioning it. You know, you've got to watch out for those rumble strips on the exits of all of these corners, and it's going to catch a few people off guard here. You've got Freeware. They're taking a very wide angle through Cops. I don't know whether that's deliberate or whether he is just struggling for grip there. Everyone has been talking over the last few days about the understeer in these cars. But, well, Vexit, has he had a problem? Yes, he has. He's missing his entire front wing off of that Haas.
That is not good for the Haas car. The Haas drivers today not having the best of luck. We saw Mark, of course, have the issue in qualifying. Now Vexit is having issues of his own.
Yeah, he's going to have to find his way into the pits, and it's a long pit lane here. There's been a problem further down. It seems that there's a ghost yellow flag in sector 1 and 2, Striff. I don't know if you're seeing that as well, but there's no car there. Freeware, he's facing the wrong way. And right now, a lot of the action, well, is just artificially created by people spinning. You got Freeware and Remco now sort of thrust into battle. Freeware's still up 8 places from when we started. Cottis is up 11, Striff. What a start he's had. He's really rectified that 5-place grid penalty.
Azir right now, one battle I really want to jump into is Wisp and Azir. We're coming through Luffield now. Wisp in the Alpha Tauri. Of course, he's got the McLaren just sitting in his rearview mirrors. We're just pushing now. Azir, Wisp, both on these medium compound tires. We're coming through, of course, Cops. Wisp carrying a little bit more speed. We see Azir jumping off that throttle. He wants to find as much traction as he can. He's just on that power now. Look at the speed he's carrying on the rear of Wisp. Wisp, I wonder what he's going to be able to do. Azir just looking poised for an overtake here. DRS is going to be in utilization surely for the McLaren, and there it is. To the outside, Wisp, a gradual move to try and put up somewhat of a defense. Azir carrying a lot of speed. Wisp going a little bit later on the brakes through Stowe, and Azir clean into 6th position. Meanwhile, Cotters and Remco Van Putten. A very similar section, of course. Well, the same section, a very similar move here. Remco through. They're on the softs, 3.5 seconds or so behind.
Yeah, and Remco just trying to get back up through the grid after that spin we saw a few laps ago. Cotters is going to have Freeware knocking on his door before long too as well, but so far so good for the Alpha Tauri, and he probably won't want to fight this too much. He knows that there's a little bit of a pace difference. Obviously, Freeware having that crash, we didn't really see it in qualifying, but Remco Van Putten certainly out-qualified Cotters by quite some margin. There's a bit of a battle going on for 3rd place as well. That final podium position, you got Domi, Jesper, and Jones all within DRS range of one another. Jones, though, he's up 4 places. A good start. He does have a time penalty, though, to his name. We've already got 3 seconds for Jones and Max Verstappen, the 2 Aston Martins picking up the 3 seconds early on in this race. And, well, with a long way to go, you don't really want to be doing that. We're about 10% of the way through. So at that rate, you're looking at 30 seconds of penalties for the pair of them. But that is in the opening stage, side by side. You know, you can get forced off the track side by side with people. So it's a little bit more leeway at the start than I'd give a driver pick up a penalty early on. But you want to avoid it if you can.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Penalties, not something you want to pick up. We've seen these races present safety car opportunities as well. When the grid gets bunched up, of course, the penalties can definitely play a role. More so at the end of a race right now. Ben the Bear 129.590. Cotters and Freeware are in engagement. And here we have Freeware pushing ahead of the Alpha Tauri. It's an Alpha versus Alpha duel, and Freeware has had the best of the exchange on the medium compound tires to boot. Freeware now into the points paying positions as we have a yellow flag. It's Vexit, and he's had an issue coming out of Cops, and it's a very, very recurring issue. We've seen a car facing the wrong way. Fortunately, no visible damage on that vehicle. Freeware, we were just looking at him, the German, he's had an issue coming through sector 1, and he's dropped back 3 positions into 13th. We just saw him in 10th.
Yeah, just after a beautiful move on Cotters, got it done, and then Cotters had a little look up the inside of the fail chicane to try and get it done, and Freeware was late on the brakes, wasn't even phased by the presence of Cotters behind him. But now another mistake already for the German. He will not be having a lot of confidence at this stage of the race. Vexit as well. Well, he's called it quits in the pit lane already a long way down. We haven't seen a safety car yet. I do believe we're running increased likelihood as well. So a bit of a testament to the drivers not coming together and causing a huge collision. But I think that's also the fact that we're running reduced damage here as well. That's helping them along nicely. A few more penalties appearing across the board as well. but we're only 7 laps in. Here goes the Ferrari of Yasko having a little look at the inside of Wisp. He's joined the party for this battle for 6th place. We saw it earlier. We saw Azir get past Wisp. He's held on to the McLaren, but the Ferrari has joined, and they're all on these mediums as well. So in the mid portion of this race, they might come alive.
We were another issue here in the Alfa Romeo. He's now 15th position. He's just watched his teammate Max MB fly past him. We got a yellow flag here, and I think that might be the retired car of Exit on exit of the pit lane. And that's something that we are familiar with from the previous 2 releases of Formula 1 as well in 2019 and 2020 here in League Racing. Ben the Bear, hello, the leader of the race, has had an issue, and he has dropped all the way to 5th position here, George. In that Mercedes, Max Verstappen, Domi, Jesper, now your top 3.
Yeah, it looks like he's had a similar problem to what we saw Remco Van Putten have not too long ago, and both of those drivers very, very capable, you know, top of the APAC division last season. And now we're seeing them spin out in the same place, just coming out of entry onto that Wellington straight. Unfortunate for the pair of them. Plenty of time to get back in it, and it hasn't really gone as badly for Ben the Bear. He's got that spun back around. He's 4 seconds off of Jones, but we know this man to be very fast. He was pole here, and I think he could be able to recover quickly. Yasko, he's got a lot of pace on the rear of Wisp. He seems to have found his rhythm in that Ferrari, really starting to put pressure on that AlphaTauri, and now a beautiful exit as he comes out of Chapel onto the hangar straight, swings to the inside. Wisp has already had to defend down here once. It's a little bit of a different situation, and this time he gets taken up the inside. He's still there on the outside, but Yasko is not phased, gets the position, gets 7th place, and there is Ben the Bear going into the pit lane. I don't think it's damage to the Mercedes. He's getting off of the stuff very early.
Very early into the pit lane here, but I don't think Ben wanted to get trapped within this battle of the medium runners. Azir, Yasko, and Wisp could very well slow him down. He wants to get some clean air. He's going to go onto these hards. And, of course, with the hards now, he's going to be looking to go very, very long. What's happened now? A yellow flag coming up here in the first sector. What's happened? Cotters off circuit. He's in the AlphaTauri. He's dropped to 12th position. Ben the Bear, he'll be leaving the pit lane momentarily. Maxim B has come in. Wing change for him. Safety car's out.
Yeah, I don't know if my voice is fixed, Jeff. I don't know if you can update me on that. Seeing any problems on my end.
All right.
Excellent. But another thing for me, I have the yellow flags out. I don't have the safety car logo, though. It's not telling me that there's a safety car out. Obviously, it's pretty obvious at this stage that there's a full course yellow. And it's left the pit lane, but game's not telling me that there's a safety car present. But yeah, safety car. This came out at a good time for, you know, the Ben the Bear, really. He might get a few places back here. Just as people come in, get off the sots, you would imagine. See what the medium runners do. Not necessarily as clear cut, but there goes Max Verstappen. This isn't good news for Jones. He's going to stay out because otherwise he'd have got double stacks behind his teammate. And we are seeing the medium runner of Azir come in. The other medium runners behind him staying out though, and
well, Azir's in.
Those tires can run for a lot longer.
That's wild. I think that's a very interesting call here for all the medium runners. I think in their position to stay out. I don't know if this is the right. It is a very long race. It is a very long race, of course, that we're here to witness, and these guys are here to push themselves in. But I don't know if with this safety car staying out is the right call, because I have a saying, and we've seen so much in this race to bring this, I think, out. Safety cars can create safety cars. We saw so many issues for drivers once they came together, and everyone's struggling, right? This is, you know, we want to be doing these 100% distance races, of course, but everyone's struggling. We are witnessing this. I don't know if staying out is the right call. I'm very skeptical.
I think with the medium runners, they should be all right. They've got plenty of life left in those tires. The tires here, they really can go for quite some stints, and the chances are, like you say, whether we see it off the back of this one or whether we see one later on in the race, we probably will see the safety car rear its head once more. The thing I have is Jones. He couldn't really pit. He would have got double sacked, but at what cost? Because he has to stay out on the softs. Again, a little bit of life left in them. The tire wear is not bad around here. in Silverstone, at least in the games, or at least last release. And I think that's carried over to this release as well from what I've seen so far. But that Aston Martin, he's going to have his work cut out. 9 laps on those softs. He's the only driver on the soft compound right now on circuit. There's a lot on hards now, fresh hards. They'll be going to the end. And again, safety car dependent.
Did we suddenly get some engines back? I thought I heard some engines come back here. Yeah, we have some engines back.
Yeah, I don't have the Alpines, but I have most of the others, it would seem.
I don't have Alpine. I have half of the Scuderia Ferrari squad. I got Yags, but I don't have Yasko. It's
like a trading card game, Striff.
Maybe if I hold on to the Ferrari when he crosses the line and then switch to Yasko, I'll get it back. No.
Striff, I'll trade you my Ferrari engine for an Alpine engine.
Oh, that's funny. That's at least we can find some humor in it. Of course, I hope everyone in the stream is enjoying things. I hope the audio isn't too much of an issue. Max Verstappen and the Aston Martin. I get, you know what? I think I get one of each. I get one of each. I think that's my limit. I get one car for each team. Maybe the retirements free up some space in my engine slots.
It's a juggling exercise in which engines you can manage and keep here on the audio plane, but it's unfortunate that this issue is, in the game early on in release. But
they'll fix it.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. It's early days. The game came out officially, yesterday. It is early days, and we hope that it's finished in the first sort of month, and then we won't have this sort of problem when we get back to fully scheduled league racing. But still, also worth pointing out, the first time, Striff, that we're seeing that new red Mercedes safety car.
Yeah, it is, and it's really nice, I have to say. I had a very close encounter with it in a league race of my own yesterday. It didn't want to move out of my way. I had a very nice look at it. And, well, sounds pretty good, too.
That one does have an engine, eh?
We can hear the engine in that one, surely. But it is going to be coming in, so not for long. Jones now is going to slow down this grid. Yasko, Wisp, Mark, Max Verstappen, your top 5 on this restart. We're here on lap 11. We're going green flag racing. Lap 12. My name's Striffium. In Canada. Joining me, well, from the UK, for the UK. It's Unicorn.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far, it's been a pretty entertaining race. We're 11 laps in. We're about to go green flag. Jones keeping the pace pretty low. And, well, now it's completely the opposite. He's caught Yasko off guard there as he powers down into the Vale chicane. Obviously, it's a pretty early restart here at Silverstone, but he's done it pretty nicely, and he's caused a big gap between the top 3 and the rest of the pack. Mark now, leader of a completely different train, and you've got Azir and Remco Van Putten side by side. The Dutchman looking for it on the inside through turn 1 on the Spaniard. Can he find the space as they come through turn 2 into Village? Remco is still on that inside. And it was an Alpine we saw earlier making a lot of moves in real life. He's making moves here as the McLaren drops back to Freeware as well.
Oh, wow. What a move. What a move there. Freeware getting it in there. And the Bear is on the rear of this. He's on the hards. Majority of this rear end of the grid on the hards. We've got some medium runners in the mixture. Freeware on the Warren side of the medium runners right now. He's with Mark, of course, Wisp, Yasko, Domi, Verstappen here. They're having a nice exchange coming out through Woodcote now. Verstappen, 5th position for him. Domi is in the Red Bull. He's looking at that inside. He says, no way, Jose, am I going to try and push it through there. Max Verstappen, he runs wide a bit here. He's looking to defend Domi still. Jesper, he's trying to close in on the rear of this, and he's doing a very good job, but he's got the Dutchman of Remco Van Putten hunting him down as we get this beautiful look coming through Maggots and Beckett's. It's a very, very beautiful shot now. Engines are firing up, and things are really starting to come alive here on this restart. Remco Van Putten, we know him to be a very aggressive driver. He's an aggressive defender, if you can call him that. And he's, of course, going to look for the outside here into the chicane on Jesper. These two did a little bit of dancing yesterday in the tournament. They have a little bit of respect on track formed already. And, well, there it was. And it's a nice battle we're seeing here.
Yeah, absolutely. And the curb there for Remco Van Putten is his teammate. He's having a problem with it. There goes Psycho as well, sliding. That forces the Alpha Tauri of Kyoda's wide, and he loses the position to Psycho as a result. And the timing, oh no, sorry, that's Blind unlapping himself on the Alpha Tauri.
Bigger attention to Ben the Bear. Remco Van Putten, excuse me, just ahead. Still looking at Jesper. Things very tight for Ben the Bear as he's on the rear of Azir. Azir and Ben the Bear, two drivers that have not had an opportunity to face off too much, of course, given their different divisions over the course of MRL Season 4. But Azir holding on to that final points paying position. Ben the Bear, the pole sitter of this race. He is going to be looking to push through this grid very quickly here. And we've had an issue. It appears to be, I think that's Babatunde. It is, just coming out of Brooklands. He's had an issue. We're going to snap back onto the action as Mark hunting down Wisp through the hangar straight. No DRS yet for these drivers.
Yeah, not for Babatunde's first incident. He spun coming out of the first corner this lap, as well as Mark runs a little wide there. Doesn't lose out to Max Verstappen, who's on the rear. Max on those fresh hards. We'll see how those tires do. We haven't really seen them yet. DRS re-enabled here at Silverstone as we go on to lap 14 of the race. And again, the tires here, they do last an awfully long time. So these medium runners who stayed out under the safety car won't really be feeling it yet. As who is that who's had a problem? It's Blind once more. Spun round in the Red Bull. He's a lap down. And well, that's not going to help his campaign get any further. Domi on the rear, Max Verstappen looking for this move. He's already started a few.
Was that in the pit lane for Babatunde? It was. So yeah, he's finished. And that is now 17 drivers remaining in this campaign, as Azir and Ben the Bear. The duel is on. Yags is here for the party. Azir and Ben the Bear through Brooklands and Luffield now. Azir holding on to that final points paying position. Now, this is crucial for this battle not to take too long, because look, they're losing time. Oh no, Domi! Wow.
He just got a huge slide out as he came out of cops. I don't know if it's dirty. Yeah, he just got a shake, overcorrected it, and the car, like a pendulum, swung one way. He corrected it and it swung round the other and spun him right round. A quick restart for him as Remco Van Putten gets past Jesper coming down the hangar straight, but my goodness, for Domi, that wasn't great. And then Ben the Bear gets past Azir as well. A lot of action there in the last 30 seconds, Striv.
Yeah, it's starting to really ramp up here. Things getting really electric on the grid, especially as we come through the DRS zones and opportunities are being taken. Yags on the rear of Azir now, and he wants to really push through and get Azir. I know they know one another, and I'm sure the Ferrari versus McLaren battle that's about to wage on here is going to have quite a few of our viewers on the edge of their seats. But of course, we're going to really quickly move ahead to Mark. Max Verstappen coming through the Wellington straight. Mark, a little bit of a connection issue here, nearly rubber banding into the front here. Mark giving him a good old squeeze for some good old racing, and now it's through into the Brooklands turn left for Max. Oh, Mark really with a nice hold here on the inside. You love to see this tight battling. Is there room here on the outside for Max? The curbs can get shaky. Remco says hello on the inside through Woodcote. Mark is on the menu for the Dutchman next. We come through Cops. Look at how tightly the Dutchman is holding on to Mark right now. That Haas is on notice. We come through Maggots and Beckett's. Connection, unfortunately, playing somewhat of a role here. A little bit of desync. You hate to see it, but as we come through into Sector 3 now, DRS wide open on the rear wing for Remco Van Putten. Wisp is in front of Mark. Is Remco going to look for it? He locks Mark in behind Wisp, and he sends it up the inside of Stowe. And what a trigger pull right there from Remco Van Putten to get a nice move done there.
Max Verstappen's going to try it on the inside of the Vale chicane on Mark, and he gets that move done as well. That's what sort of triggered it earlier. And Jesper is having a look all over the rear of the Haas, but in doing so, Freeware swoops around the outside of Club and steals away 7th position. But my goodness, Remco Van Putten on a real charge. He's going to look for Wisp now as they come through into the opening few corners, and around the outside he goes of the Alpha Tauri. And Remco Van Putten, well, you've seen it there. He is not the kind of man who waits for an invitation. If he wants it, he takes it. And he is really recovering from that spin earlier on in the race, just through here.
Yeah, he's in a serious
He's
position.
taking Jones for the lead of things, and the soft tires, I think, starting to wear out as Max Verstappen, Wisp are going side by side as they come through. Brooklyn's Wisp doing well to hold on right now on the older tires, and does so quite magnificently. And Freeware gets passed on Mark as well.
One key thing to know here, Wisp is doing Remco Van Putten a monumental favor. Let me be clear here. Wisp is on 15-lap-old mediums. Max Verstappen on the 5-lap-old hards. Remco needs a gap, and he's finding it right now. And he has nothing but old tires in front of him, and he has a very good potential to break away from this train that he was just involved in. And what a way to get away from the train. He really pushed, but Max now, with that DRS, Wisp has it as well. It's just not enough right now on these older tires, but is it? He goes later on the brakes. Max is just not able to navigate a way through this AlphaTauri. Look at this.
Yeah, Wisp is putting on a stellar defense right now, and Max Verstappen finds himself on that inside curbing on the Vale chicane. Not the best place to be. It's already unsettled. A few cars are speaking of unsettled cars. Jesper has a big snap through the final corner, trying to find a way past Mark, and subsequently lets his teammate Ben LeBear through. Ben, on these hard tires, haven't really spoken too much about him in the last few laps. Had that brilliant start on pole, then just a mistake cost him. And who is that in the wall? It's Blind. I think he is out of the race. I think he called it in the pit lane. That's where we saw that earlier Vexit retire after he came out of the pit lane and retired. So a bit unfortunate there. Ben LeBear, though, starting to charge his way through the grid. Max Verstappen as well on the outside of Wisp. Has he finally got this one done? I think he might just have. And the AlphaTauri already feeling pressure from behind once more. Freeware's looking all over the Swedish driver. Can he find a way through as they come out of Woodcote down the old pit straight? But it's not going to be right now for the German. Wisp looking for a way back past the Aston Martin as well.
This is really, after that safety car restart, it has really come alive here with the sounds, the audio, of course, the bugs playing a role here in the beginning of the race, but things now really on fire as Domi and Azir, they battle through Maggots and Beckett's. We're really loving the action that's going on now. Mark, what's happened to Mark now? This is not good for the Haas. That front left is in a bad state. He's trying to get things turned back around. Maxim clears him. Here comes Psycho. Very unfortunate day for the two Haas drivers. And, well, of course, like I said, today is going to be a day filled with learning experiences. Jones right now, well, look at this. It has not taken Remco Van Putten very long to make his way to the front two. Yasko and Jones, they're engaged. They're on 17-lap-old tires, and they're battling. And Remco Van Putten... Uh-oh, Yars had an issue, but just to finish the thought, look at this. Yasko and Jones, look at Remco. He's got the popcorn, and he just doesn't care. It's 3 wide nearly coming down Wellington. Yasko and Jones. Jones on the inside in that Aston Martin. Yasko does not have an answer for this right now. Remco really wanting to put his foot in here and get involved, but look at the battle folding in front of him. He just doesn't want to get too involved, because if Jones or Yasko have an issue on these older tires, they don't have as much grip. Remco can get involved and get collected should something go down. Jones, Yasko, nearly wheel to wheel as we come through Maggots and Beckett's. Oh my, what a duel we are witnessing here between these two in the front of the equation. Look at Remco, DRS on the rear now. Do these two have an answer? Yasko is first. The Dutchman pushing through on the inside. Jones looking to lock him up. Remco says, get the heck out of town. I'm going around the outside in the Alpine. Does he hold him enough? Remco picks up 3 seconds, George. What a squeeze coming out of Jones. What a duel we're seeing between these three, and as long as Remco can't get through, Ben the Bear might be able to pick up some time.
Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow, picking up that 3-second time penalty. It's been going for about a lap now as he looks on the inside of turn 1. Jones, though, well, Yasko's gone round! Yasko's gone round! And Remco and Jones have done a brilliant job avoiding that Ferrari. He was sideways on track, and he's lucky he didn't get collected by someone else there. But Remco Van Putten, he's biding his time, and now it's time to pull the trigger. Jones was fighting on these old soft tires, and now Remco Van Putten without the other car here to stop him going through. He's just going to snap up lead of this race, and he is going to leave everyone else in his dust. Ben the Bear, though, what can he do? As his tires, they'll last the longest. Like I say, tire wear, not really a huge problem here at Silverstone, but Ben the Bear, he's fast on anything. So we'll see what he could do. And can he challenge the Dutchman before the end of things? But there is a car between the two. It won't be long, though, I don't think, until we see Jones in for a pit stop onto, presumably, some medium tires to get him to the end of the race. Is behind him, Freeware. Oh, he's done well to save that. A bit of a snap there for the German. That might cost him time to Wisp behind, but what's going on in the mid-pack? Wisp's got Jesper and Domi to worry about for that 5th position. And Domi's got a nice run here. Can he use this to capitalize. Jesper's got some DRS to defend, though. Wisp here might be vulnerable to not one, but two cars, although he's got DRS on freeway ahead. Here goes Domi up the inside of Jesper, and it's a brilliant move from the Hungarian. And now he sits between two Swedes, and one of them is going to go late on the brakes to try and hold that position into the Vale chicane. It doesn't work out, though. Does it work?
Look at this.
Club. Here he goes on the inside. The Mercedes looking for it. They're still side by side as they come down the Hamilton straight, but Domi gets it done through turn one as Jesper backs out, but he can't back out too much because look who's here on the rear, the Ferrari of Jags. He's back. He's left his ear a little bit there, ready to join the party on these hards, and on these mediums, they need to be careful about fighting like this, particularly Wisp. He could fall stray into this with the older tires as they start to age. Freeware as well in 4th and 5th. So we'll see how that plays out with the tire strategy. But right now, Jeff, there is so much action going on in this race.
I'm absolutely loving it. We haven't been able to stop since this restart. It's been absolute intensity, pressurized intensity. Since that restart, of course, we're on lap 20 right now. Wisp is holding an entire train in his rearview mirror, and he's doing a good job of really nursing these 19-lap-old mediums. We saw him put up such a stellar defense earlier in costing, of course, the drivers looking like they were trying to catch up with Remco Van Putten. We saw it earlier. Oh, it's just lovely. Here we go. Domi now, a snap to the outside. Wisp did not have the most ideal exit there. The tires not giving him the best opportunity coming down the straight here. Jesper looking around the outside. He just can't find enough turn-in ability there to get himself the traction he needs to push through ahead of Wisp. They're still fighting through the chicane right now. Wisp in 6th position, holding well. Jesper finding the traction he needs this time around the outside. He is ahead as we come into turn 1. Wisp is just poking his head in there. And, well, Jasko, he's fighting right now. He's got his ear really tight to his rearview mirror. It's a battle for 8th position, and it's a really good one at that.
Yeah, they just did exactly the same as what Wisp and Jesper did for the Vale chicane. Jasko actually getting ahead there despite the older tires. The mediums, though, still holding up. It won't be, it'll be a while until we see these guys who started on the mediums come in for their scheduled pit stop, unless, of course, we get another safety car. But how it's going right now, we've got, everyone seems to be a bit more comfortable in the cars right now than when we first started this race. In qualifying, we're having a lot of issues. Right now, though, seems to be a little more comfort in the drivers. Everyone seems to have got in that groove we always speak about. And I think, well, we're 21 laps in. You'd expect that at this stage, though. Obviously, there's still a few snaps here and there. We've still seen a few spins in, recent memory, but it just seems to be getting a little bit more calm, a bit back to our regularly scheduled broadcast that we're used to seeing when everyone was comfortable with the odd one. Although, Psycho, I do apologize, I appear to have just sort of sprung that at the wrong moment.
And
because
that's a safety car.
Safety car.
Oh, my.
His front wing is off, and the Williams, well, again, like I said, I apologize for the commentator's curse there, as Maxime B and Jags have come together, and Jags is here outside of Magus and Beckett's, just coming out of Chapel now. And he's losing to Yaya, but I don't know whether he's going to concede that place. Who is going to get the safety car? Hopefully, the game knows how to deal with this. Everyone's jumping in the pits, apart from Swift. Remco Van Putten, who couldn't come into the pits, and is staying out as well. Interesting. It should be mediums, though, for pretty much the entire grid, I should think.
Well, this is a really, really massive shakedown, especially now. It's our second safety car, of course. Remco Van Putten, Azir, Max Verstappen. I think Remco might have just passed the safety car here.
Yeah, he did. So he's all right, but I'm interested to see whether he comes in anyway. It's unfortunate for him, that timing.
I don't know if that was... Was he supposed to pass the safety car there?
Well, it's
Remco
moving
said,
now.
I want to get in the pit lane, so... That's,
well, safety car's just going for a little joyride, it was saying.
Well, that is interesting, isn't it? Remco Van Putten was not... He was able to pass the safety car. I thought he would have just sat there and caught the safety car.
I think it stopped on the old pit straight. Hopefully Jones gets a bit of a look at this. On board with the Aston Martin now. Where is the safety car? Where is it? Okay, it has stopped on the outside of Woodcote.
Well then.
Well, hopefully this is not a problem. But
I'm
it's an
surprised.
odd place for Burn
I'm
Lightliner
genuinely
to pull that up.
Yeah, I definitely. I'm shocked that it didn't pull off outside of the pit lane, to be fair, or even around Wellington. That would have even
Well,
made even more
usually
sense.
it stops at the start of the Wellington Straight, like it did, and then Remco just
Remco had other
went
plans.
past.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
had
well, I
big
don't think
other...
that's Remco's fault, but yeah, he wasn't. Well, he's been doing some overtakes. He wanted one more to add to his tally.
Well, he's in for the mediums, as is Azir. Max Verstappen, however, on these hard compound tires, is going for a little bit of a different strategy, and I don't think this is the best call to make, as the entirety of this grid behind him now is going to form up on fresh rubber. Much fresher rubber at that, and quicker rubber. Medium softs to boot. The only driver on the hards is Yasko, and it's fresh rubber. So, very interesting call here.
Here comes the moment of truth. Is that safety car going to kick into gear and start moving? Otherwise, we have a problem on our hands. And yes, it is.
So we
okay.
are all right. So maybe he just wanted to give the fans a good old view over in that section of the circuit. You never know.
Yeah, there's a huge sigh of relief. I think from an organization standpoint, that would have been a nightmare. Given that we're pretty much bang on halfway through the race. We're a few laps from that point. But a restart now would have been, well, probably not even possible, given the time zones of everyone. But it's a long time to do a 100% race, and, well, a 150% race. I think that's on no one's minds, Jeff. Especially not this early in the game's life cycle.
No, it isn't. And I have to say, for 2020 and for 2021, we've now been very early to kind of find these things quick. we've been quick to get into these races and these things, so we pick up on things quick, maybe when they weren't anticipated to be played right away. Who knows? But we've been having a lot of fun. Of course, we have been taking notes of the bugs that we've been picking up, and I've personally been putting together a little bit of a post to shoot on over to the devs there to give them a heads up on some things. So we want to work to try and get the game better. So anyone that has any bugs, let us know. Try to get some stuff together and help improve the game.
I think I did a pretty good job last night after our 4.5-hour stream strip of communicating some of the thoughts I had on the bugs last night. But well, lap 24, safety car that is now moving, and Max Verstappen needs to make sure he stays from hitting into it. But we do have an Aston Martin 1-2 at the moment, as if it's only just crossed my mind that we are seeing that, but that is what we've got. And, well, this is something we haven't really seen this season in real life, but here we are, the Aston Martins, and their maiden race, really, for us here in the Misfits Racing League. Obviously, we saw them yesterday in the 5-lappers, but in terms of a race that lasts longer than that, well, it's a good day for the new liveries, because you've got an Alpine of Remco Van Putten there in third as well. Although pretty much every car looks pretty substantially different. Some of them just sort of flipped, like the Alfa Romeo. The red and the white sections changed over. That's Freeware's got there. And for Freeware, this has been an incredible drive strip. He is way up on where he started. 15 places gained. Wisp's up 8. Azir's up 9. There's been movement all over the place. The only two people who start, or the only person who is finishing where they started is Blind in 17th after retiring the car. But it's been a very, very dynamic race for these guys, shuffling in and amongst themselves. And I think all of us spectating this race can say that has been a joy to watch as the safety car gets called in to restart things to green flag running on lap 25.
Well, Max Verstappen, 13-lap-old hards, the only driver that did not come in other than Cotters, realistically, on this safety car deployment. Cotters now has caught up to the grid, and it's going to be an entire race restart here with no lapped cars, which I imagine is going to be very relieving for everybody involved. But Max Verstappen coming through Stowe now, it is up to him to pace this grid and to determine when it is time to go racing again at full speed. Freeware very tight to the rear of Remco Van Putten on the softs. Wisp on the softs as well. These are two drivers. Well, Wisp, well, excuse me, yeah, has come into the pit lane. I saw some shuffling down the order there. But Max Verstappen pushing through now. Who's got the best restart here? Ben the Bear on the medium compound tires, immediately putting the German of Freeware under threat in that Alfa Romeo. As well at the rear, we have Yasko and Psycho wheel to wheel coming through Abia now. And it is Psycho I do believe, getting the better of that exchange as Yasko goes a little bit later on the brakes. We're going to flip back to Azir and Domi now as they're wheel-to-wheel coming through into the Wellington Straight. They're going to have a drag race now into Brooklands. Domi ahead of the Spaniard. It's the Hungarian and the Spanish duel that, of course, I know a lot of the folks in the chat want to see. Domi right now holding on to 7th from Azir as we come through into Luffield. Yags has had an issue, and he has gone off just coming through Brooklands as well. But everything very tight on the restart. We've already seen one restart in this campaign, and that provided us with a massive amount of action. And I imagine we're going to see a ton more here in just a few moments' time when DRS is enabled as well.
Yeah, the opening to this one slightly calmer than the first one. I think the reason for that is obviously last time we saw Jones accelerate going into the Vale chicane. This time we saw Max Verstappen accelerate out of it, and he's had a problem as he comes out of Chapel down the Wellington's down the Hanger Straight. Sorry, Jones, his teammate for the evening, is going to take full advantage of that, and Remco Van Putten as well. What an overtake on the inside of Stowe. Freeware runs wide coming out of Stowe, but is he going to get anything down into the Vale chicane? No, he doesn't. Remco Van Putten a little bit of a slide there, almost going into the rear of Jones, who is blinking. His ERS, is completely out, but here goes Remco Van Putten. He doesn't care what the Aston Martin's problem is. He's going to take a bit of contact between the two. Jones is off the track, recovers nicely, but Remco is still going to go through. Max Verstappen taps the rear of his teammate, and Freeware is going to take advantage of that. He gets one. Can he get two Aston Martins here? He can't, but as they come out of the loop, through Aintree. What a move from Remco. What a move from Freeware. And Jones and Remco, probably a sigh of relief that they're still in this race, as another Ferrari has a problem. This time it's Yasko in the prancing horse facing the wrong way.
Oh, well, these Aston Martins are really coming loose right now. Freeware has the quicker rubber. He's pushing Jones as we come through Woodcote. Now, Max Verstappen does not have a lot of foundation to stand on, I'll say, because he's got the 15-lap-old hards to play with right now. Everyone's got that fresh rubber. I talked about it earlier. I didn't think it was a good idea. Freeware right now. Oh, is he ever tight to the rear of Jones? He wants to clear Jones as quickly as he can to keep up with the very quick Remco Van Putten. Remco really putting on a display in that Alpine right now. Things super tight through this grid. Psycho on the rear of Max MB for the final points paying position. Ben the Bear on the rear of Max Verstappen coming into Stowe. Freeware's there with, of course, Jones. Freeware on the inside gets it done. What a trigger pull from the German there.
Yeah, nice move. Here goes Wisp on the inside. Toby, a huge lunge. We saw a few from him last night, and again another lunge. Clean as a whistle. Lost him a bit of time on exit, but manages to fend from the Hungarian out of Vale. Can he defend out of Club though? Yes, he can. Just keeps Domi at bay there in the Red Bull, the sister team, of course. The AlphaTauri Wisp at the helm there, but yeah, some nice moves. Freeware trying to make use of those softs now. He's got to do a bit of management to get them to the end, but we've got a few exchanges as he gets past on the inside of it. Yes, but there's a problem up ahead as Wisp and Domi come together a little bit. Wisp has lost a lot of time here. He's on fresh softs. Azir's going to have a look up the inside, but does Jesper find it as well?
Oh my God.
No, he doesn't. Azir is still there side by side with Wisp.
The amount of exchanging
around the outside, but they're still side by side strip.
It's so wild the amount of exchanging we're seeing. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. We had Freeware and Remco Van Putten exchange for the lead of this race. Freeware looking very quick on those softs right now. Ben the Bear locked behind Max Verstappen. He's had a big issue, Max. He's gotten it under control. Ben the Bear now on the inside as we come through into Maggots and Beckett's is going to clear the Aston Martin. And that was a very touch and go moment. If I am Max Verstappen, no doubt. And of course, Jesper, he has no penalties right now. He's sitting on the rear of Azir. He's got Wisp in front of him as well. With the penalties, Jesper in a very strong position in the other Mercedes right now. Ben the Bear and Jesper doing a lot of work right now to put themselves into a potential podium position. We've had an issue through Sector 2. I do believe that is yeah through Woodcote and Luffield there. And we have Freeware, a 127.911 in the Alfa Romeo, putting down some serious pace on track.
Yeah, got himself up into P1 there, the German. You know, he's been running wide a little bit, though. He has been through, you know, cops through Stowe on the exits a couple of times, just completely off the track. Trying to carry as much speed, of course, through those corners, still adjusting to the new game and what sort of is possible through there. Ben the Bear on a serious charge right now as well. Also worth noting, there's only 3 drivers right now, Striff, without penalties. That is the aforementioned Ben the Bear, Domi, and Jesper, all on fresh mediums as well. So right now they should be good to the end of this. Yags and Cottas continuing their little duel for 12th place. They exchanged through Vale. Cottas with a bit of a lunge there, just like we saw his teammate do not too long ago. But Yags now getting back through and got us in a bit of a slide. Again, a save. I wanted to mention as well that Max Verstappen, that save we saw through Copse the lap prior, I worry for him because those tires, they should be capable of a lot more than 17 laps, but he's already struggling. And I don't know whether he's just pushing to try and catch up and stick with guys on much fresher rubber, but big problem for him right now.
Looking for a way through on Jones. He had a very good carry of speed down Hanger into Stowe. Now he looks to the inside of the Vale chicane. Nothing doing just yet, but Ben the Bear has Jones very nervous, I imagine, given that he's just sitting in the rearview mirror of this Aston Martin. Look at the pace he's got right now. Of course, Jones holding on to this penalty. We come through turn 1 right now. Ben not sure what to do on the rear of the car ahead of him. He's just holding patient. Remco on the rear freeware, of course, mediums versus softs at the tip of the spear here. We'll see when those tires betray the German. Here we have Ben the Bear now, DRS on the rear. Look at the snap to the inside now as we come into Brooklyn's just behind them. Domi and his ear exchange, and what a move from Ben. Neatly done. Wisp, Azir. We've got some side-by-side battling here. Domi, Wisp, what a squeeze there. A little bit of contact. Not sure if it's desync or what the equation is with these guys. The scenario looking quite intense as Wisp has dropped to 11th. Maxim B, Jesper, Psycho, everyone in close proximity flying through into Cops. Wheel to wheel right now. Maxim is here. Psycho moves through. Jesper's gone into the wall. I heard the crunch. What has happened? I'll tell you. The safety car's been deployed. Oh my.
Jeff, a lot just happened there. And, well, I'm glad we've got a safety car so I can explain as much as I saw. So, first of all, you had Domi and Wisp having their little tussle, and then the McLaren of his ear took them both, and I think that's what took them by surprise. Forced Domi to just sort of understeer out coming into Brooklands. I think that's what happened between him and Wisp, and then the rejoin wasn't exactly smooth for them. Domi obviously got away a little bit lighter than Wisp did, so I think that's just a racing incident similar to what we saw earlier between obviously George Russell and Sainz, but obviously there might be a penalty in that front. But here between Wisp and Domi, a little unfortunate. Then freeware span through Cops, but that was sort of hidden under the rug because then Jesper, like you said, slams into the wall, crashes out, which is very, very unfortunate for the man who won yesterday. A great performance there, but doing pretty well this evening. And then you have a safety car here, and we've got a few people in the pits. You've got Wisp, Freeware, Domi, Psycho, Yasko, all onto some fresh softs. And Max Verstappen, again, refuses to come in.
Unbelievable for Max Verstappen here. He just refuses to cycle the tires and get onto something fresher.
But he can go to the end. It's possible, very, very much so. Everyone's going to go to the end now. But I just wonder, is that going to pay off when we've seen him struggle already on the restart with the fresher tires? The tires, the mediums do have a few laps on them. They won't feel awful by any means with, you know, only 6-7 laps on the clock, depending on who it is. But it's just a bold statement, I think. He's now the only driver on the hards. We only had one driver on the softs earlier, and now we've only got one driver on the hards after this safety car. And again, this will inject another sort of bout of drama. I do believe this is our third safety car. We are running the increased amount here just to try and allow people to recover, avoid people getting lapped, etc., because it's so difficult to come back, especially with the pit lane here at Silverstone. And given that it's early on, you expect mistakes tonight. We've seen a few. I don't think there's anyone, Striff, who hasn't made at least one mistake here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think everyone's been struggling, and right now I'm just with Cotters on the rear. Maxim B and Azir, some connection issues potentially there, or Maxim getting a little bit, I don't know if there was some kind of issue there between the two. Maybe the illegal overtake issue, I don't know.
Cotters does appear to have some sort of connection problem, so we'll see if we can sort that, but yeah, a little bit of lag coming through as well. The Ferrari there, Yags, I think that was. Lagging a little bit, but again, hopefully this sort of thing gets ironed out. There is definitely something going on here. There's a lot of exchanging under safety car, which is not something you want to see.
I'm very confused.
I don't think we're the only ones, Jeff. I think the drivers are too.
Well, yeah, surely the drivers are, without a doubt, but I'm not... Well, this is definitely new. What lap are we on here? 31.
I think this is just a connection issue for a couple of the drivers here. I think Cotter's... He's got another invite. He seems to have stabilized. The red X that indicated a disconnection from the last game has gone from his name. I don't think he actually rejoined. Now the two Aston Martins. I think Max Verstappen has actually gone wide there. And now the timing tower has disappeared as well. Hopefully this is not a terminal lobby because, well, at the state of the race,
yeah,
it would be very, very bad news. It's never a good time, but this is certainly a bad sign.
We're about to find out as we come through the split here whether or not, and this is the indicator, the safety car is going to come in, and maybe we'll just see, well, it's coming in. So hopefully everything rectifies as we come across the line as far as intervals, positions, etc. Of course, thanks everybody for hanging with us, and it's a learning experience. As I mentioned earlier in qualifying, it's going to be a day of learning experiences for the drivers, for us, taking notes here of bugs. Send them off to the devs that be and try to get things ironed out. I mean, we're a ways away from league racing in our MRL capacity yet, but of course Remco Van Putten now is going to lead us away through out of Stowe, potentially for a safety car restart for lap 32 green flag racing.
Yeah, he's really working that wheel side to side, but he has gone into the Vale chicane, and I don't think that's caught Ben the Bear off guard. One thing I did like about that sort of green flag stint there, we did see a bit of racecraft from Ben the Bear. You don't always see him overtaken. Sometimes you just see him running around on his own, but some really good patience there from the Thai driver. As here seems to be the closest battle.
Oh,
right now,
Freeware! Freeware very tight to the rear of Wisp coming through turn 1. Definitely a misjudgment of the turn there. I don't know if it's just going to be a racing incident between the pair of them that I'll call that, but Freeware, that's not what you want to be doing on the restart of a race, my friend.
Is there the only one to get in position right now? But Domi going to look to change that. He's up the inside of the Axial into Brooklands and around the outside now of Luffield. Still holding 8th place away from the man who just held it. The Ferrari now drops down. And who's that? Had a problem. Yaya has come off and Yasko is there as well. I don't know if there was contact, but there's no engine for that McLaren, I can tell you that much. So that seems to have creeped back in.
All right, it'll come and go, I suppose. Domi, Yag, Psycho, very close proximity here in a very tight section of circuit. Of course, Psycho is looking to be the major benefactor on the rear of the Ferrari right now. 8-lap fresher rubber and the softs to boot for the Williams. Here for the home race for him and looking to the inside, but nothing just yet for him. Yag's carrying a lot of speed through the corner.
Yeah, 20 laps to go now. And that's, we'll see who is still on top. Again, Ben the Bear behind Remco Van Putten. No penalties yet for him. And that was sort of something we saw the last time out when we were at Austria. He did seem to collect a few more penalties than we sort of necessarily expect him to. But he has been, a very clean and consistent driver. Domi as well doing a good job to keep his nose out of the penalty and without a black and white flag.
Definitely.
But again, neither driver without their mistakes. Obviously, we saw Ben and Remco spin out of Aintree at some point in this race, but they've got their way back up to the front. Ben started pole, Remco Van Putten starting 5th, and well, he had an excellent start, had that issue, fought his way back up, and now is leading the race. And definitely, I think, Sif, the two sort of standout drivers in terms of just consistency, in terms of just fast laps up and like that, leading the race right now.
Yeah.
From what we've seen.
Big shout out to Mr. Matteo Longe coming in with the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. Welcome in, Matteo. You'll be happy to know that it's an Alpine leading the race here in Silverstone. And of course, Ben the Bear, of course, is hunting down Mr. Remco Van Putten. Greatly appreciate the support. I hope your stream went well.
Domi, Maxime being Wisp. All three of them coming out of Stowe into the Vale chicane. Wisp's ahead. Domi and Maxime side by side, and Maxime struggling. And well, what has caused this? There's another safety car. Freeware's outstriff.
Oh my, Freeware has just had such an up and down race. George, the safety car is out.
It continues. The Freeware's bad luck continues.
Yeah, he has not had a good time today. And we are down to 13 drivers in contention now. Is Max Verstappen gonna cycle the tires? Are we gonna see him come in here and get the heck off of these tires? Do you think the grid has been shaken up enough with the tire strategies that we'll see him come in?
Jeff, I don't think he's coming in, because
why not?
Out of all of the opportunities he's been presented with a pit stop, this is the worst one. Because now we've just come off of a safety car restart. Everyone's bunched up. This would be the worst time to pit for him. He could have pitted a while ago, but now I don't think many other drivers are going to come in, so he would lose. He would go down to at least 10th place.
I think that he has to make a gamble here. I think that he needs to make a gamble here. Look, I am not the fastest guy, but you and I have commentated. You know, we've lost count of how many races, and you got to think about the tires that he's got behind him. Is he gonna be able to even do anything with what he's got on, or is he better off getting onto a fresh set of rubber and pushing through a field, which is a better opportunity here? I think it's a much better opportunity here. He's got the pace. If he has the consistency, if he has the confidence, come in, get a new set of tires. That is what I would be doing in this position. That is genuinely, and now I'm not the fastest guy, but look, he's got to come in. Surely he's got to come in. He's in. No, he's not. What is this man doing?
No, I think like I say, I think that he's made his bed striff. He's now got to sleep in it.
I had my hands in the air. I was so excited to be correct, and this man was like, nah, bruh. Nah. You're wrong, Simon. You're wrong. I'm gonna stay out on these tires, and good luck to you. I hope. I want to be right. Now. I want to be right.
He just comes in now.
Bido is in here laughing, surely right now.
But yeah, I think it's just too much, too many places lost. Right now he's fourth. He's stuck with the leaders. Again, it hasn't really been allowed to have enough laps, but there's only, 17 laps left in this race now. And he's been doing all right. These hard tires, they're gonna last plenty. They could do at least 40 laps comfortably. So in terms of pace drop-off, maybe they're, half a second, 6-7 tenths maybe down on where they were. But the tires around him, a lot of them aren't as fresh as they were either. The mediums in particular, 11, 12 laps on them, they'll be down a few tenths too. So he hasn't got the worst hand here. I think he probably should have come in at some other point during the race and one of the earlier safety cars. This, he would have just lost too many positions. He wouldn't have been able to carve through, because then it would have been an equal tire. And because of all of that fighting, mistakes are bound to happen. Cars are bound to probably come together. He's either involved in one of those collisions, or he gets collected by one, or is just slowed down by a battle in front of him. All of those variables, he doesn't really have that here. The front three should sort of just leave him, and, well, he can defend from behind. And everyone, I think, 4 safety cars is the great amount. We haven't seen a VSC.
No,
I don't know whether that's impacted by the fact that we have increased safety car. I don't know whether that increases the likelihood of a virtual.
I think it may. I think it may reduce the I think it flips it around, I think it plays with the VSC versus full safety car versus just the overall deployment of a yellow SC in any capacity. But, well, the safety car is in. Remco controlling the pace of this grid through into the chicane now.
I think the fact that we're running reduced damage as well is probably, you can't really do a massive crash. We've seen a couple, but nothing compared to some of the instances we saw yesterday. Remco's still holding it up, and that's causing problems behind. And what a launch he's got here. Azir, Max Verstappen side by side. And Azir, well, I don't think the tires had anything to do with that. The Aston Martin there has just been completely mugged by the Spaniard, and now Wisp is going to have a look up the inside as well as they come through into Village.
Yeah,
and well, it's Domi who's taking the pair of them, Striff.
What's happened to Yaya? Yaya's had an issue here in the McLaren. He's going to get back going. Domi now moving through on Max, moving through on Wisp. Wisp not going to be happy about this again. Max here stopping. He's looking at Domi. Psycho on the rear of Wisp right now. Wisp looking for traction on these softs versus the hards in front of him. And look at how, oh, look at this. Max Verstappen, he washes out a little wide here. There's been contact. Max Verstappen's found the curb. The Ferrari's gone round, and we've got a huge collision through Luffield here. Wisp with a reset to track as Max Verstappen now is looking to recover. Psycho is involved. Yags is out. What's happened to Yags? Yags, well, he's just finished with things, so that's very unfortunate. Now Yaya Sanagoat here is hunting down Yasko on this restart.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. Well, there goes Yasko almost off. I think what happened there is you just saw Psycho in the Williams stick his nose in while Wisp and Verstappen was side by side coming through Luffield, and 3 wide into there isn't going to work. That washed out the R, and well, he actually found himself, Striff. We've been questioning whether he was going to come into the actual pit lane. He found himself in the old pit lane for a moment there, and well, maybe he was just a little confused. But now he is coming in, Yasko as well. And I think, well, it's the end for Verstappen. Very, very unfortunate way. We wanted him to come into the pits under better circumstances. Ben the Bear looking for lead of the race. He is putting Remco Van Buren under increasing pressure. Oh, these guys, they've got level tires, and well, they've got a bit of a gap forming already behind.
Ben the Bear is the only driver in this session who has yet to acquire, and knock wood, a penalty here, Unicorn.
Yeah, absolutely. Most people it's just 1. For some it's a lot, but for most it is just the 3 seconds, including Remco Van Buren. It's also worth noting Ben is lapping a lot faster than the Dutchman right now. He's using a little bit more battery, not a lot. But Remco had a blistering start on the safety car, really caught everyone off guard coming out of club the way he did. But Ben, unlike everyone else behind, has closed that gap quite comfortably. Now, though, this sort of battle between the two is allowing Jones to catch up. Azir as well, following that Aston Martin towards the podium slots. Domi, though, on these slots, he's started to put a charge in. He's looking at the McLaren ahead of him, and he might go for it here. Up the inside into Stowe. He's looking for it. But Azir just carrying a bit more pace around the outside line there. Very nicely done. The Vale chicane, though, Azir knows it's coming. But can he do anything to stop it? A little bit of contact between the two, and Domi just loses the rears a little bit of a slide. Has to back out of the move. Nicely saved. Its DRS gets re-enabled here on lap 38. But yeah, things starting to thin out. Only half the drivers left, and Yasko is a long way back. So really, 9 cars fighting it out. Domi having a look around the outside of Azir as they come through Village. A nice switchback for him. This puts him on the outside of the loop, and Azir, well, he's going to cut across that line a little bit aggressively. Doesn't phase Domi, though, as they come through out of Aintree. But Azir, what a great defense. And the DRS there from the rear of Jones. Well, it's helping.
And the Bear's gone very deep. Oh, my. Jones into second position. Ben the Bear is getting things back under control on those tires. Domi's actually tapped him in the rear. Azir and him very tight now coming through Woodcote. It's a drag race into Cops. Ben the Bear is ahead of them. This could get very intense right now. Domi trying to hold the traction. Goes wide off circuit here. Azir pushing through. Holding 4th position away from Domi. Of course, he's on the older tires right now, the Spaniard. Ben the Bear in the mixture. It's Remco, Jones within a second of one another. Ben the Bear just dancing in and out of that DRS range, and he needs to get back in it because DRS is about to come online here for a lot of these drivers.
Well, there it comes on Azir.
Well, I mean, for a lot of these drivers, this is, of course, Ben the Bear and the drivers ahead. You have Azir, Ben the Bear, there's contact, Domi, Ben, oh my, Maxim is here now.
And not been a good couple of laps. Coming through in the chat, it seems there was some sort of like, maybe contact earlier on coming into Brooklands between Ben and another driver. Apparently he locked the rear brakes, was pushed off. There's a lot of stories floating around. I don't know what's fact and what's fiction, but We'll see after the race, I would imagine. Stewart's maybe having a look if there is foul play afoot, but Ben now behind a driver on fresher tyres and a long way off of Remco Van Putten for lead of things.
And the Bear Domi right now, wheel to wheel coming through Brooklyn's. Domi on the inside, defending it from the tie driver. 16-lap-old mediums for Ben versus Domi on tires. Half the life in them for Ben. Oh my, this is just wild racing. You love it, man. You just love it. 16-lap-old mediums holding off Domi on the 8-lap-old softs right now. Less than a tenth the gap. Look at the switchback opportunity coming through out of Cops. This is just beautiful that we're seeing right now between Domi and Ben. Ben really struggling right now. He doesn't have a penalty, but he needs to get Azir. Azir needs to get with Jones, and my oh my, you just love it here in the final phases of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. Domi having a little look up the inside of Ben and almost runs into the river again. He needs to be careful there. He also tapped a little bit of the brake as well as came off the throttle coming through Cops. So definitely playing it a little careful here. You know, is a bit more mindful of things. Remco fastest up of the race though, 127.8 on some minions, but Ben the Bear is responding. Like you say, no penalty for him. He needs to stay within 3 seconds of Remco Van Putten if he wants to win. He will beat Azir 14 seconds of penalties, so unless something catastrophic happens to all the drivers behind him, Azir is going to drop like a stone when it comes to the checkered flag. Jones 3 seconds as well, so Ben, again, if he doesn't overtake him on track, 3 seconds there, the window. Here he goes on Azir, the Spaniard defends the outside. Not a lot he can really do against the tie driver. The Mercedes just steams up the inside through Brooklands and takes it and holds it through Luffield very, very comfortably there. Now it is, well, he's in that car strip. It is hammer time for Ben there. Jasko in the Ferrari takes the fastest lap. He is on some fairly fresh softs, and well, he's down. He may as well try and snag that extra point because you don't see him scoring more than that plus the singular point for the 10th place that he is currently in, unless there is, of course, a retirement further up things. Azir struggling through Maggots and Beckett's, and well, there's the door swinging wide open for Domi. He'll take advantage of that every day of the week. You don't have to ask twice. Yeah, and the Spaniard definitely struggling, and those tires not really that old considering how long they should run.
Maxim on these 4-lap-old softs right now. He's been doing a good job in all the commotion here to catch things up, and he's got some good rubber under him. We want to see if he's able to push through and collect any more positions, as Ben the Bear has really turned things up in that Mercedes, and you really wonder how he just finds the pace to outdo Jasko there. But of course it is Ben the Bear. He is a very, very quick driver, and he is just on a charge right now.
Well, ERS as well, you know, definitely using a bit more than Remco there. Oh, Jones is round. Well, there's a position for Ben the Bear that he wasn't probably expecting quite so quickly. Also, the ERS HUD element is actually going green for me. A little fun fact for everyone there, that my HUD now working. But Ben the Bear, well, 2.5 seconds the gap now. He is about half of Remco's battery storage, 25% for the tie driver, 50% there or thereabouts for the Dutchman. 2.5 seconds the gap, 3 seconds the penalty for Remco. Can Ben hold off on getting one? Can Remco avoid picking up a second? Well, it's all to play for. Just over 10 laps left. And there's a lot of drivers pushing for a potential podium here. Stefan Azir is under threat from Maxime B. Up the inside of Stowe, and Maxime just goes a little too hot. Hits himself into the side of the McLaren, holds the brakes, avoids the rear rolling onto the racing line there. The Canadian will not be happy with how he executed that one.
No, definitely not, and he is going to drop a massive amount of positions. Yeah, Jones, Cotters, they're in tight formation, battling it out now for 5th position here. Wisp 2.8 seconds on the rear of this. Maxim 3 seconds on the rear of 8th now. And what could have been a very good potential finish for Maxim has now kind of gone for the moment. Of course, 10 laps remaining in this campaign. 10 drivers remaining in this campaign, and we'll just have to see who can do what nearing the end of things now, as Yaya puts things into high gear and utilizes a little bit of that battery to hold Jones and Cotters ahead of him.
Cotters struggling with connection.
Yeah, he's really having some net issues right now. He saw that red X come up on his nameplate, and that's just not something you want to see.
Yeah, very much the closing stages. of the race. You can sort of get that sense from the drove as things spaced out a little bit more than they were in the first 40 or so laps of this Grand Prix. And of course, safety car is taking advantage as Jones is going to look for it to go side by side with a lagging car through Maggots and Beckett. That was bold. That was risky. But my goodness, the Aston Martin made it work, and he made it work well. Up into fifth, and now Yaya is going to take advantage of Cordes' misfortune as well. That AlphaTauri really struggling right now for whatever reason. Lack of DRS there, not helping either. Whether that's an AI-controlled car or what is going on for the Irishman. Still a great race, considering he started last on this grid, given the grid penalty he had. But, you know, it's not how you want to see someone end out their race as they cross onto lap 43. Domi closing in on Ben the Bear. I wonder if the tyre advantage there might be having some sort of role. Ben slowly starting to work his battery up, but Remco is stocking it up for a rainy day strip. He is at nearly 70% charge, while Ben is down in the 20s. But the Thai driver, he is catching. Can he do it? Is it enough, though, before the end of the race?
I don't know. It's going to be a big question. These tires right now, Domi, he's going to try to put some pressure on to Ben. And if Ben gets hung up with the Hungarian, well, that isn't going to be very good for his opportunity to take a win off of the Dutchman and lead of things right now. 4/10 the separation between Domi and Ben.
Yeah, tensions will be high. You know, again, we mentioned this a lot, but at this point, fatigue setting in. Domi looking for it into Stowe. Gets close. Might have scared Ben a little bit there, but no room opening up for him, and he's not going to even try it in the Vale. You could see the way he moved that guy. He was thinking about it and then very quickly thought better of that. And you can also see Remco Van Putten materializing in the distance a little bit more.
I am not sure what just happened, if there was desync or if there was some kind of misjudgment on the telemetry or the input. What the heck happened to Jones? He just went into the rear of the McLaren.
Well, very, very unfortunate that things like that happen. Like I was just saying, though, Joe, at this stage of the race, concentration becomes difficult. It's called the Endurance Series for a reason. And, well, you start to see mistakes, especially, we've already seen mistakes all evening because of the fact that it's a new handling model people are adjusting to. Maxime B, does he have it on Jones? Yes, he does. Down into Brooklands, and, well, there's a little tap to the rear again from the Aston Martin, this time not being anywhere near as catastrophic as the last one we saw at the end of the previous lap. Domi still on the rear of Ben, but now Ben has the advantage. He's got DRS to play with on the rear of Remco Van Putten, who is now pushing with nearly a full battery, but Ben's harvested a little bit of his own. So with the fact that DRS is now in play, Remco Van Putten will probably have to expel a little bit of that energy. How long can he keep Ben at bay, and can he extend a 3-second gap? Right now it seems unlikely. Obviously there's every opportunity that one of these drivers picks up a penalty that ends really the competition, but well, we'll see it when we do. If it happens, we hope it doesn't, because racing is what we're here for. Domi as well. Unlikely that he beats Ben again because of the penalty situation. All cards on the table, though, for Remco Van Putten. So, a lot to play for on the podium positions.
Yeah, definitely a lot to play for right now. Remco, half a second between him and Ben. Domi's there. It's a big exchange between these three, I think. We're going to see battling between the three of them, not just Ben and Remco. Softs for Domi in the equation. These battles can get very interesting when there's a third car introduced.
I can't tell if Remco's on 1 or 2 warnings with the way it is. Ben is on 2, though, so he is running a fine line, but there aren't many laps to go. But either way, I imagine both drivers there very, very tense. And as soon as this, Yaya has had yet another problem. Resets to the track, and well, he's got a broken end plate, I believe, as well. Drops back to both Maxime B and Jones there, and Remco Van Putten and Ben are exchanging. We've seen it once, Jeff. We've seen it before. That defense, not easy to get past.
Yeah, this is a serious battle we're about to watch unfold here. And here's the thing about a battle like this. When you've got Domi sitting right here, you do not want to take a risk and be wrong and fail on that opportunity taken, because Domi will be looking here to inherit on any failed attempts.
Yeah, it's sort of like a vulture just waiting. You don't want to be too close in case it does go horribly wrong for the cars in front. Remco doing well to manage that battery, still way up in the 80s now, but both drivers, Ben has to actually lift off here to avoid going past Remco. I don't know if he's playing games or just doesn't want to risk it at this stage. Maybe hoping for a more clear-cut move into Stowe potentially later on in the lap, but definitely struggling there to maintain the gap. Here we go. A nice run from him. Surely not here into Copton. No. Again, we're seeing Ben's racecraft. Like I said earlier, we don't always get to see it, but he is a patient driver. He does know how to go wheel to wheel when the opportunity presents itself, and right now he's just biding his time. He knows right now if the race ends like this, he wins on penalties, and he doesn't want to do anything stiff where Remco could put him into a position to pick up that final warning around the outside of Stowe. Would be one place where Remco could do it, and Remco is not leaving any space. And
he is a very hard defender.
He knows it. And here's Domi as well.
I'll tell
Ben
you,
and Remco are both playing the same game, Striff.
They are playing a game. That's right. They are playing a game here, and I'll tell you something. They've been playing that game for a long time. Of course, you know better than anybody. These two have done the dance in the APAC division many a time. Domi has driven with them many a time. These guys know what's up, and they're going to put on a bit of a show here to the end, and then things I imagine on the last few laps, they are going to break loose. Domi, he has his own mind and his own plans in this equation, surely, and he's going to want to get himself into a very clear-cut position. Ben the Bear right now doesn't have the run even on Remco. He's not utilizing a ton of his battery right now. Domi getting some clean air coming through. Look at the traction he's finding in Luffield here on the rear of the tie driver ahead, and this is really what it's all come down to now. We have a little bit of a battle going on for 7th now as Maxim and Jones are tight on track, but of course it's all about these podium positions, this top 3. Penalties or no penalties, the drivers, they want to get it done on circuit. They want the bragging rights, and they say, you know, screw the stewards, this is what we did on track, my man. And right now Remco, he's leading this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, I'll wait for a little bit of story time until we get through Stowe, because this is a good overtaking spot. Ben almost getting a little bit wily again. You're seeing it. They're just waiting to get through here as we come down into the Vale chicane. I don't think we'll see any moves here. We don't. But again, you mentioned it there, the APEC division. I've seen these guys as Yaya has another problem, it seems, and Maxime and Jones will exchange into or just before Stowe on the hanger straight. But yeah, going back to the APEC division, the last time I saw that race around Silverstone, well, in the last lap, Remco Van Putten rear-ended someone, that someone being Mikau, into the Vale chicane on the last lap. So, hopefully history doesn't repeat itself as Yaya goes off and resets the track once more through Stowe. Ben the Bear, again, on the rear of Remco Van Putten as they come down the Wellington straight. He's going to go for it around the outside. This is a much different move to what we've seen in the previous few laps. Now, switches it back through Brooklands to the outside as they come through Luffield. Again, he does not want to give Remco the opportunity to squeeze him off this track, though. And as such, has to back out a bit. There's another yellow flag. This time, it's the Ferrari of Jasko, who's down in 10th place. I'm not sure what's happening there, but all eyes glued to the battle for first. Remco!
Oh, Remco!
Through Cops! I just mentioned he had bad luck in the last few laps. Last time I saw him at Silverstone. It continues here. It's his second spin of the race. He's got it back round in 3rd. But it's unlikely he's going to be able to recover anything. He does have a bit of battery advantage on the cars ahead. Remco, Domi and Ben, weaving a little bit on the hanger straight to stop one another from overtaking. Azir finds his way past Remco, and this is another battle Remco doesn't want here. Jasko calls it in the pit lane just at the end. But my goodness, this is some late drama that I don't think anyone saw coming, Striff, really. No, not in that way.
No, definitely not. But what it's given us here is not one but 2 major battles. We've got 3 battles going on. We've got Jones and Maxim. We've got Ben the Bear and Domi for the lead of things on track. We've got Remco and Azir for now 3rd position. And it's really brought Azir into the fold for a potential podium in all reality. Not the win that Remco Van Putten would have liked, but it is very, very intense racing action, which I think everybody's here to enjoy.
As they're trying to put the pressure on through Brooklyn's on the Alpine, just the Alpine, whatever it is, but just unable to sort of threaten Remco, and Remco looking very composed, using up that battery that he harvested whilst he was in the lead. Maybe he would be wishing right now he'd used a bit more of it, just trying to stave off Ben the Bear. Maybe he used too much coming through Cops. Well, we won't really know. Jones picks up a 3-second side penalty as Yaya comes into the pit lane. Very late for him, and he might even risk himself getting lapped. It won't be too far off. Here goes Domi, a great run for lead of things, and he does swoop around the outside. Ben the Bear, well, like you said, they will want to get it done on track, but at this stage of the race, I think he just wants to be careful. That's sort of been how he's... You can see the driver's sort of thoughts via the way they move the car strip, and I think Ben right now just playing it safe. Although Domi, fastest lap of the race, fair play to him. And on those softs, I don't think Ben's really going to have too much of an answer, but he's done it before. I saw it in Suzuka last season. Jones, Maxime side by side through the Vale chicane. Jones coming out on top there.
Great to see some battles unfolding here all the way down to the end of this race. We've had multiple safety cars. We've had a multitude of retirements, some of them terminal crashes, some of them retirements on track, some of them retirements in the pit lane. Everyone getting to terms with the new handling, the new circuit, and everything else at that. The new game. Maxim hunting down, of course, Jones still, as we've got Azir and Remco. Azir not holding Remco, I think, as well as he would like. And the Bear still very tight with Domi.
Yeah, sadly with the Remco Azir situation, Azir 11 seconds more penalties, so really not really too much he can do in terms of, you know, hoping to find a position on Remco Van Putten. He has extended a gap further behind. Ben the Bear, though, looking for it around the outside of Stowe, similarly to what Domi did last time around. Isn't going to work out, though, for him, and well, he's shaking all over the place. One thing I'm not quite sure, I think he's all right, but Ben just... There's a lot of dirt on these cars. I thought for a second it is fall damage, but it is dirt, I just think, on that Mercedes. Jones and Maxime exchanging once more, but we're on the penultimate lap of the race, and Remco Van Putten, well, impressively enough, steals away that fastest lap we saw Domi get just a moment ago. It's yet another penalty for the Spaniard, and he drops out of DRS range as well from Remco, and it's going to be a good finish on track, not necessarily after penalties applied. Ben the Bear, well, that's as easy as you like, Schiff. Down the Wellington straight, clean as a whistle, way before Brooklands, and is ahead of the Hungarian. And I think that's game, set, and match. He's just got 1.5 laps to go.
Very nice racing here. Jones right now under threat. Maxim looking for a move on the inside into Brooklands, and there we have it. A nice trigger pull there. Tire differential not helping Jones out, of course, when it comes to defending moves like this. Maxim kind of has a little bit of free reign right now with the degradation differential, and now Domi on the rear of Ben the Bear. Penultimate lap here. Ben the Bear, 28 lap old mediums, 20 lap old softs for Domi, but a very good pace for Ben through this entire race, of course. No penalties for him at that. He's been having a very good drive.
Well, there goes the fastest lap again. I think that was Yaya there, picking that one up, if I'm not mistaken, on a fresh set of softs. As Jones and Maxime continue to do the dance down in 7th, but it's the last lap for the leaders. And well, we'll just see how it all comes on this one. And it was Yaya, 126.5 there from him. The only other driver to sneak into those 126 is Ben the Bear, a 126.8. I think that was on the last lap as well there. So if Yaya hadn't have done that, Ben would have done exactly what I mentioned when he did it in Suzuka all those weeks ago in the APAC division. It feels like a long time ago. It probably was only about 2 months ago, but he is such a capable driver. And to the misfortune of many, I think that is going to continue, Striff, into the new release.
I think you're right. What a race.
Absolutely. 52 laps of sheer excitement. There wasn't really a moment to breathe for us.
No, it's
and I
been
imagine
a lot of
the same for the drivers as well. And hopefully we can get a few interviews with the front three I imagine Ben the Bear, he's always up for an interview at the end of a race.
Especially when he
well.
wins it, I think.
He'll be happy. I think everyone's happy to talk to a Striff when they won a race, but it is, for goodness knows the what time, but it's Ben the Bear crossing the line first. Domi will be very happy with P2. Remco Van Putten a little bit unfortunate in the end, as he having a problem across the line in fourth. He will get dropped, though, I think, quite substantially. Likota's kind of the unsung hero of the evening. He has gained so many positions in this race. He is up 15. He gets relegated to Wisp and to Jones. So, well, it was 15 places gained on track, 13 places. Unless he drops any further, I don't think he will. But the Alpha Tauris, a great evening for them. And Azir, even with the penalties there, still finishes fourth and is up 12 from where he started as well. But what a race, Jeff. It's good to be back. That's all I could say after that one. It is good to be back.
Yeah, definitely good to be back. I think a lot of the drivers, of course, in the race today, struggling, coming up to terms with the handling model over 52 laps in Silverstone as well. Some drivers, you know, may not have the best setups, may not have the best, well, most time around these circuits. Of course, I think a lot of the drivers needing a reminder on some of the rules. I think in the community races for the community as well. So we're going to be looking at all of that, and there's some bugs, and we've written everything down here. But I have to say, overall, it's been a fantastic race. There was a lot of action, not without its drama. We're gonna hopefully get some interviews in a few moments' time.
Ben and Remco already exchanging words in the chat. Remco coming across saying he was trying to force Ben into a penalty, and that Ben said he knew. And I think that was pretty obvious. We noticed it. They noticed it as well. But Ben the Bear lifting the trophy. The first sort of official race that we've done in F1 2021. And Ben the Bear winning. Domi in second. Remco Van Putten third. Three drivers we've seen on the podium plenty of times. And well, fast drivers, Striff, will always be fast drivers, it would seem. But what a race that was at Silverstone. Ben the Bear, not only did he go from pole to first place, but he did it all without picking up a penalty. That was absolutely brilliant stuff.
Oh, it really was.
From the side driver.
Really was. He had a very commanding drive at things today, a very commanding pace. I mean, he had a couple of hiccups there, but all things said and considered, he gets it done. He gets that top step in the Mercedes, and it was Domi from fourth to second here with Remco fifth to third. And we'll be speaking to hopefully the three podium finishers here in just a few. It was a very long race. I imagine everybody now that took part in this one has a bit of a sense of what to expect coming through in the future. For some of these races, they can definitely get intense, but I think everyone's going to have to study their cops a little bit. We had a lot of issues through cops today. 180 spins, crashes, terminal retirements, etc. We had a fair few safety cars. I think it's been a great learning experience. And it was, as I said, in the qualifying, today was going to be a race filled with learning experiences. And we're going to talk to some of those drivers in a few moments about those experiences today in the race. But of course, that's it for the race. We're going to head into some interviews in a moment. Of course, head on over with a raid for a member of the community as well.
Yeah, it's just, there was a lot of, great battling in that race. Sometimes with the endurance, you see it, people start to space themselves out trying to get into their own rhythm. But here, a lot of drivers just didn't leave their rivals any sort of time to breathe. And, well, it gave us some great, battling. And they handled that very, very well. Like you say, a few problems between, in cops, a few coming together here and there. You expect that this early on when people don't necessarily have the setups, they don't have the handling model down. Just with the game so fresh in everyone's mind. But over the weeks before we get back into, normal scheduled league racing, all of those things will be ironed out, and then things will get even more competitive. But I think it's fair to say that was definitely a good foundation to build on our first race back. So much drama, so much action, so much overtaking. Obviously, there was incidents, but, Azir, 16th to 4th, Wisp, 14th to 5th. Jones, 9th to 6th. He was up and down like a yo-yo. That both of those Aston Martins were obviously Max Verstappen not making it to the end, but we mentioned them all. The pit lane not happening. You had Cotters from last on the grid. He finished 5th on track. A excellent drive from both Alpha Taurines. Obviously finished 7th after penalties applied. Maxime B as well, making it to the line in 8th. And yeah, I do believe he finished the race, got fastest lap as well in 9th. And Yasko too. I think we finished with 10 drivers. I can't remember if it was 9 or 10 at the end, but yeah, just a stunning race all around. I don't know if there is anyone around for an interview or two, but just that is a great race to remember, whether we do get an interview or not.
I do believe Remco and Domi are unfortunately unavailable to interview, but hopefully we can get Ben the Bear in a moment here. We'll just see. I don't know if you want to maybe go in there and see if he's able to come through. Probably on cloud 9 after that win. But of course, what a race it was. Very, very fun and enjoyable experience for me, and I imagine Unicorn as well commentating this. And well, that was Silverstone for round 10 of our endurance series. We're going to be back following the Formula 1 World Championship, of course, for the 11th round as well. And Unicorn's back now. Is Ben available, or is he all?
We do have Ben. Yeah, we do have Ben. So again, for multiple times we've been here before, that's for sure, Striff. But yeah, Ben the Bear, only available interview, but nonetheless an incredible race. Striff, I'll let you kick things off. But Ben, from me to you as always, congratulations, pole and a race win here in the first race of 2021.
Ben, it's great to talk to you. I don't think I've ever had an opportunity to talk to you in one of these interviews before. I'm trying to remember the last time. I can't recall. I have to say, there's been quite a few times where I thought I was going to see you, and then the end of the race flipped on its head, and you weren't there. So you've won the endurance race here in Silverstone from pole position. You had a bit of a hiccup. What a drive. Talk us through this experience. It was an up and down one, to say the least. A lot of, I think, drivers struggling as well.
Thank you, Striff. Thank you, Unicorn. Yeah, it's the first time probably, me and you talking in the commentary booth. Yeah, that was a tough race, I think, for everyone. The whole grid struggled, I think. I think everyone had a mistake at some point in the race. So it's a new learning experience for everyone. But I think, it was enjoyable to fight back through the field after making a probably costly mistake at the beginning. I think I was a bit too greedy, but the race unfolded, and then it presented itself with multiple ways of just driving safe. It's different, it's not like the previous game. And that's all I can say from how I felt today.
You're a driver who had I'm gonna say this as like nicely as I can. You have a good speed, a good pace about you. You're a quick guy. You're a winner here in the endurance series. It was 52 laps around Silverstone. You've done endurance races with us before. Just on a quick subject, I think there's some viewers here that are wondering handling. You're a pad driver, if I'm not mistaken, if you can confirm that here or not. But how does it compare for you? Is it a positive feeling here in the new release, or is it hey, I kind of preferred 2019, or you've played many of these games now? Just talk us through your feedback, if you will.
Yeah, so the biggest changes I felt, I think, in this game is the high speed cornering with the pad. I think it's probably on wheel as well. So there's less, I think, grip in high speed corners. There's a lot more understeer compared to 2020. But the low speed and medium speed have been improved slightly. So, the setups will be different on pad compared to wheel. A lot different. That's what I got.
Appreciate the mention on that. I think a lot of people are curious to know. And of course, Unicorn, if you have any questions for Ben, you have quite the familiarity in Ben's driving. I mean, I used to, but it hasn't been I haven't had to commentate you as much as Unicorn has in the past year, Ben, in the APAC division, winning that title. But of course, Unicorn, let's have it from you for Ben today, and of course from me to you, Ben. Congratulations on a stellar drive.
Thanks, Striff.
Absolutely, Ben. Obviously, like Striff said, we've been here a lot of times. It's sort of a different, situation here when you come into a new game. Does that present challenge? Obviously, like Striff said, you were very, very quick last game. Obviously won both the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship in APAC, as well as the combined Constructors. So you're a very seasoned player. When you come into the new, is there always the scare that you're just not going to pick up the handling? Well, we even saw you, have that mistake coming out of Aintree, the little spin, and also whatever happened in Brooklands fairly late on in the race, just sort of how much does it weigh in your mind that, you know, obviously tonight's win probably sort of cements that you're still quick in this one, but how much sort of fear, I guess, is there coming into a new game with the new handling model?
Yeah, you know, you never know what can happen. It's the same as last game, but you know, this is a new game, so people will see it as probably from a different perspective of how you're able to drive the car and how you're able to feel the car. But I think, you know, overall, how I feel for this game is probably the same as last year. I think I just want to keep my head down, do what I do best, and just pump out results that, you know, matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, you know, last season, every time I interviewed you after a race in APAC, you were always like, I'm just going to focus on the next one, take it one race at a time. But as always, I'm always going to mention it. Obviously, the first race of the season, our 100% race around Silverstone, you got pole, you got the win. Surely this is a confidence boost going into the rest of at least the first season in this game.
Yep, Unicorn, I agree with that. Also, a quick mention. James asked me why did he deny his marbles.
2 days in a row. I can't believe it.
He has agents of communication everywhere, Mr. JA Games, and Ben is the latest envoy. I suppose I was the one before that. But what a great day of racing and a great evening of racing it was, Ben. And I look forward to seeing you, and I imagine Unicorn does as well, in the MRL, well, Season 5, if you're able to participate, or at the very least in a lot of these community races. So thank you so much for coming through for an interview, giving us some insight, and congratulations again on the win.
Thank you so much, guys.
Take care, and we'll see you in the next one. That is going to wrap it up for round 10 of action. Silverstone, what a race it was here, George. And of course, we're going to be back soon with more racing action for both the MRL and our Endurance Series. Got a ton of action coming this week, community races in the Discord. And of course, if you haven't heard, the Season 5 signups now for MRL are open. We have 6 divisions permitting assists. Of course, those are our 4 European-based divisions, Tiers 4 through 1 running Monday through Thursday, Tiers 2 and 1 for our Americas running Monday and Tuesday evenings. And we have a Champions division with a base prize pool of 2,000 euros. Which will be, of course, growing over the course of the season, hopefully with some donations and interest from outside of the game. And, of course, we'll see just how fun that will get off to. And the Season 5 signups will finish off, of course, the 31st of July. Unicorn, anything from before we wrap things up and head off for the evening?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, just a massive pleasure to commentate here. A massive shout out to everyone who watched along as well, and to everyone who took part. It was a great way to kick things off. Obviously, last night was a ton of fun, very different to what we're used to, but sort of back to normality tonight with this. It was a great way to kick things off. I think next time it will be that 31st of July, that deadline you mentioned. I think that's when we're back for the Hungarian Grand Prix. All the way, that'll be the 1st of August for the full F1 race in real life. But for us, it'll be the end of July, I think. So not too long to wait until we're back. But yeah, a massive shout out to just everyone who watched along. It was an awesome pleasure. Again, congrats to everyone in that race who finished. There was a lot of positions gained. It was a ton of fun to watch. You said it there, all of those tiers that are going to come. There is a lot to look forward to in the next few weeks, months, and this game as a whole. So I'm looking forward to all of it. And always, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time in 2 weeks.